Close the doors of your mind. Close the gates of your mind. Bring your senses to center. Within your 12 cranial nerves, within your 12 melanin centers, within your hands and your feet that control the rest of your body through your belly button, through the center of your body, all the way through your stomach, where your child is lodged. Bring your mind to center in humility, and bring your thoughts to humility and Einu, within yourself, within your eyes, what you've seen throughout the week that were not pleasing in the sight of Yahuwah, or even the things you've seen in your ears that you heard that wasn't pleasing in the sight of your the thoughts and makashaba that manifest within your inner man, your inner being, and even in your tongue, that allow your body and your thoughts not to come to alignment with Yahushua Mashiach and his understanding. For today is a day of freedom. Today is a day of warning. Today is a day of Chdsh within yourself, within your inner being and your inner thoughts. Not according to your old self and your old manner of life and your old manner of in your old life and how you lived before, but the new life and the new manner that you're supposed to live presently. For today we acknowledge the one who made all of the heart of the earth, the mountain, the highest mountain, the one who gives life and understanding to his people. And as the water flows from the highest mountain, it flows down to the lowest valley. And now all those who gather the water and take in and ingest the water, they say, let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, and he may teach us of his ways, that we may understand how to walk in his paths, to understand how to walk in newness of life presently in this present world, in this dark, kashak world. So today we acknowledge him who sits in the highest Shemaim above all gods, all both male and female gods and goddesses, the one who rules over all thoughts and all beings, and all Allahims, and even the 13 Allahims, all the Allahims, and the 13 Shamayim. Yahuwah Allahim, who sits on his throne at his right hand, his son Yahushua, who helps govern all beings, and the one who gives life and understanding to both male and female within themselves, the one, the female, to giving forth life, and the man to discern between good and evil, to see what is raw and what is not, knowing that these things are true, and he say in both male and female, it is both male and female. And in both mother and father, it is mother and father. So we look at ourselves and we look at our inner man and we look at our inner being as the light of life and the true light of understanding within ourselves. So as we move forward in Chesed, kindness, ahab, how you say joy, peace, patience, meekness, temperance, how you say self-control, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. But we need self-control within ourselves in order to be able to govern ourselves in this present world. So this is the book of Psalms, book of Tehillim, Psalms, verse 32, verse 92. The book of Tehillim, Psalms, verse 92 and 1. It is good to give thanks to Yahuwah and sing praises to your name, O Most High. Because you know how he said, in Psalms Tehillim chapter 50, it already told us what? He said, if you sit and speak against your brother, you slander your own mother's son. And you know what happens when the moon, the yard, slandered the sun? He said he diminished your light. Knowing that these things are, and he said, you know what he said? He that give praises to me, he said, he that give thanksgiving to me, Yada, he said, he praised me. He said, mark this, you who forget Yahuwah Elohim, lest I tear you apart. He said, why would he say tear you apart? He said, I'm going to rip you apart. Right? He said, I'm going to break something, this covenant that I have with you. Why? It is good to give thanks to Yahuwah and praises to your name, O Most High, to declare your steadfast love in the Bakar in the morning. Why? Because we have a morning sacrifice. It is good to do that. And faithfulness by night. Why? Because we just talked about faithfulness is one of the fruits of the Ruach. Faithfulness by Layla. That's what the woman's supposed to do. She's supposed to be faithful. That's why she needs to be faithful in the night. That's why there's no nightlife for an Isha when she gets married. Why? Because she shouldn't have one. She should be faithful to you at night. Unless it's somebody creeping in at night, and then guess what? And now you found out, guess what? It's something different. It's something different going on. But if they have faithfulness, then why would they? But it said right here, to the music of the lute and the harp and the melody of the lyre. To the music of the lute and the harp. And we ain't talking about drunken reveling parties. Right? And drunkenness. Yahuwah wants you sober when you actually offering your morning sacrifice. He say, Bakar. You're not getting drunk all the way to the next morning. And it says right here, for you, O Yahuwah, have made me glad by your works. He said, you made me glad by what you do, by your works. So even if a husband in the house, it should make the woman glad by what he does. The woman should be glad by what he does. The same way he said, they have not rejected you, Shabath, they rejected me from being king over them. He said, Yahuwah is your husband. So therefore, you should be glad by the works that he does for you in your life. The same way you should be glad by a Ish doing something for you in your life. It's the same thing. At the works of your hands, I sing for joy. At the what? At the works of your hands, your yad and your kaf, I sing for joy. He said, so how everything gets established and how everything gets in your possession. And he said, that's the same thing when it comes to a relationship. How did everything get established? And then it says, how great are your works, O Yahuwah? He said, how great are your works? How great are they? Your thoughts are very deep. They what? They're very deep. Really deep. It's as deep as your natural man, as your body, that you can consume 1,000 pieces of food, but your stomach don't move. He said, where does it go? How does it not appear on me the way, where did it go? Why? Because your inward man is so vast and so huge, you wouldn't even know how big it is. You wouldn't even know. It's huge. He said, your thoughts are very, very deep. The stupid man cannot know, the fool cannot understand this. He said, you can't understand this. And guess what? That though the wicked sprout like grass and all evildoers flourish, they are doomed to destruction forever. Why? Because he said they are doomed to destruction forever. Right? This is the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 23. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 23. All this I have tested by Hakam. I said I will be wise. Have you said that yet? He said affirmations. If you who will be for me, who will be against me? Nafash, receive wisdom and instructions. I will be wise. But it was far from me. See, why is it far? When it says, that which has been is far off and deep, very deep. Who can find it? His thoughts, who is Makashaba? Yes, so imagine he's very deep. His wisdom is very deep. Who can find it? Right? Who can find it? And you know the sad part? Some people believe they already found it. And they'd be like, and I say, okay, you found it. Let's see. Right, this is the book of this is the book of Yuchanan chapter 4 and verse 7. Yuchanan chapter 4 and verse 7. Yuchanan chapter 4 verse 7. John chapter 4 and verse 7. A woman from Samaria came to draw water. Yahusha said to her, give me a drink. He said, give me a drink. And she went to draw water. He said, give me a drink. You know what happened? For his disciples had gone away into the city by food. And the Samaritan woman said to him, how is it that you, a Yahudi, ask a drink from me, a woman of Samaria? How is it that you are asking me a drink? You are Yahudi. And you asking me to give you something to drink. I could poison this drink. I could do a whole bunch of things to this drink. You asking me for a drink. And you know what happens? Yahusha answered her, if you knew the gift of Elohim and who it was saying this to you, you give me a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. You said you would have asked me. You would ask me for a drink. After I give you, if you give me a drink, then you would ask me for a drink. Can you give me something to drink? Because he said, I'm going to blow out your bread and your water. But he said, the woman said to him, sir, you have nothing to draw water with. The well is deep. Because, you know, everybody looks at your carnal self, the outward man. They look at the things that you see on the outward man. They say, you got nothing in your hand. You ain't got nothing to draw the water out with. You ain't got no bucket. You ain't got no rope with a bucket. You don't got the tools. You know, you ain't got no tools. You know how people say you ain't worthy to do something? You're not worthy to draw anything out. You're not worthy to do it. Why? Because you ain't got nothing in your hand. You ain't got no tool. He said, I ain't got no rope. I ain't got no bucket of water. But guess what? He said, I could draw it out, though. Where do you get that living water? He said, where are you going to get this living water from? And he said, are you greater than our father Yaakov, he gave us the well and drank from it himself, as did his sons and his livestock. Yahushua said to her, everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again. Why? Because this natural man will never have enough. He said, you'll be thirsty again. You continue to drink. But guess what? The water that I will give him will become a spring of water welling up to eternal life. Why? Because you know why? It is a continual water, well water. It will never go out. You will continually have it. You will never have a famine. You will never suffer any. You will always have water to drink. You will always have water to water your plants. You will always have water to make lakam and bread. You will always have water to water your olive tree. It is on autopilot. It is called what? Residual income. He said you won't never lack anything. And guess what? Your well will spring up so much, it'll spring up the everlasting life, eternal life. You'll be like one of them old big giant trees that never lost its fruit. Those giant trees that grew in one grape produce one bottle of wine. That's going to be you. But guess what? The woman said to him, sir, give me this water that I will not be thirsty or have come here to draw water. He said, give me this water. You know this water that you got? This living water, this secret water. And guess what he said? Yahushua said to her, go call your husband and come here. That's why he said, go get your husband. So what's the point of me teaching you something and your husband ain't here? But you know what people do? They'll still try to teach your wife something and you ain't there. And you know what happens after that? Who you think she's going to go after? It ain't going to be Barak, all the works of your hands. And we reckon the book of Tahalim, it ain't going to be none of that in your house. Ain't going to be none of that. He said, it's going to be gone. It's just like we talked about last week. It's going to be like holding your hand out with oil in your hand. Right in your right hand. You can be like you chasing the wind. Right? Because they got a new love. Why do you think Yahushua was preventing that? But then what did he say to her? The woman answered him, I have no husband. Yahushua said to her, you are right in saying I have no husband. For you have had 5 husbands. He's like, man, you've been unstable all your whole life. He said, man, you've been unstable your whole life. And the one you now has is not your husband. He said, man, look at here. You've been unstable all your life. And now you done took somebody else's husband. You've been snatching away men all your life. Stealing people's hearts. You're a thief. You're a heartbreaker. And he says, what you have said is true. Right? Yahushua see you. He said, I see your haughty eyes from a long way away. I can see you. Them eyelids that lifted up, he said, I can see you from afar. I see your life. That's why you think Dawid was saying that? He said, I can see you from far away. I know your thoughts before you get here. The woman said to him, sir, I perceive that you are a Nabi. He said, I perceive it. Why? He said, I perceive it. All that, right? Going to Romans. Romans chapter 8, verse 26. Romans chapter 8, verse 26. Romans chapter 8, verse 26. Likewise, the Ruach helps us in our weaknesses. That's why you need it. He said, you have weaknesses within yourself. Some people are unstable in their life. Some people are unstable in their mind. Some people got, he said, wrath, anger, bitterness, resentment. You got to deal with it. How you going to deal with bitterness and resentment when you got the Ruach? How you going to deal with your unstable ways you got the Ruach? How you going to lift up a standard when your flesh try to rise up inside of you and rule you? How the Ruach going to lift up a standard in you when you ain't got it? Because you know your childhood your childhood sins that you committed in your past will come back and try to rise up in your life. And if you don't got the Ruach, it's going to rule you. It will rule you. And it says right here, for we do not know what to pray as we ought, but the Ruach himself intercedes for us, groaning too deep for words. Why? Because his thoughts are very deep. It's very deep. And it says, and he who searches hearts knows in the mind the Ruach, because the Ruach intercedes for the Chdshim according to the will of Elohim. It's very deep. This Bereshit chapter 1 verse 1. Genesis chapter 1 verse 1. Bereshit, Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1. Why? Why are we going here? Because it's important. It's important, right? It says, in the beginning, Elohim, you say, Bereshit bara Elohim Hashemayim Qahalath, right? But if you understand that, but it says, in the beginning, Elohim created the Shamayim and the earth was without form and void, Tohu and Bohu, and darkness over the face of the deep. What do you mean? The word for deep is Tahum. Tahum. It means an abyss, a surging mass of water, the deep. It says subterranean water supply. You know, like well water. Thoughts are over the face of the deep. You know how it says? Subterranean water supply. He said, who can draw this stuff out? You have nothing to draw with. And get what it says. How he was able to draw it out. It says, and the Ruach of Elohim was hovering on the face of the waters. It was hovering on the face of the water. You know that subterranean water that you can't see? He said, how you going to draw it out? And you know what he said? And Elohim said, let there be light, and there was order. He said, you get some of this water, you'll never thirst again. You'll never do it. You'll never thirst again. You'll always have a water springing up to everlasting light. It'll spring up all the way to everlasting light. That spring of water going to continue to produce, and you're going to be swimming in it, drinking it, watering your crops. You're going to be doing you're going to be washing yourself in it. You're going to be doing all types of things in it. It's like a sea otter inside of a cage, but they lock it in with water. But that sea otter enjoying that water till he pretty much jumping and leaping around in it, looking at you like, what's wrong with you? Or a river otter. And Elohim said, let there be light, and there was light. And Elohim saw the light that it was good. He saw it. And Elohim separated the light from darkness. How you say? He badal. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening and morning the first day. It was the first day. But he said, your thoughts are very deep. He said, so why would he say that? Because it is deep, very deep. And then when you start to see it and understand it, then you start to understand why things happen the way they do. Right? So this is the book of Odes of Solomon, Ode Shalom, Pseudepigrapha, Odes of Solomon, Odes of Solomon, Pseudepigrapha, (34). Odes of Solomon, Ode Shalom, Pseudepigrapha 34 and 1. It says, there is no hard way with a simple heart, and no barrier for upright thoughts, right? There is no, I say, hard way with a simple heart. No barrier with upright thoughts. What do you mean, barrier with upright thoughts? Right, because he said, my thoughts are not your thoughts. In the book of Yeshayahu. Know my ways, your ways. For even as the Shamayim is higher, even as the Shamayim is to the earth, so are my thoughts from your thoughts, and my ways from your ways. I don't even think like you. I don't have a Makash Bar Yetzer like you. But it says, no whirlwind in the depths of enlightened thought. There is no whirlwind in the depths of enlightened thought. You know that subterranean water? You know where the actual water moves? There ain't the seas and the waves ain't roaring. And the winds and the waves are not tossing to and fro by every wind of doctrine. It ain't. Matter of fact, it ain't jumping all over the place to try to get it. And guess what? Where one is surrounded entirely by pleasing country, there is nothing divided in him. He said, when you got this well of water, there ain't gonna be nothing divided in you. It's gonna be a cod. It should be. It'll be a cod. And you know, if that woman had that living water, you think you should have, you got like 5 husbands, and the one you had, you took somebody else. You think she would have been stable? She would have been stable when the first time she got married. And it says right here, the likeness of that which is below is that which is above. The same thing. The likeness of what is above, the water above, was a likeness in the water that's in the subterranean water. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Why? For everything is from above. So what do you think the subterranean water from? Yahuwah invaded the earth a long time ago. He came here and invaded this world a long time ago, right? So this is the book of Yeshayahu. He invaded this place a long time ago. He been here. This is the book of Yeshayahu, chapter 50. He been here. Yahuwah been here. You just didn't know it. He already had things set up before you even got here. Right? This is Yeshayahu 55 and 9. For as the heavens are higher than Yeshayahu 55, Isaiah 55 and 9. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts from your thoughts. He said everything from above. For as rain and snow come down from Shamayim, come down from heaven, Shamayim, and do not return there, but water the earth. Where do you think the water was at when he rained down on the earth? It went to the subterranean water underneath the ground. Yahuwah was already here. His water was already here. It was already here. His Ma'im was already on the Adas, making it bring forth sprout and giving seed to the sower and bread to the eater. He was already here. The water was already here. The water been here. When Yahushua was talking about, give me some of that, I'll give you some of that living water that's been here before you even know it. He said, so shall the bar be that goes out of my mouth. He said the water is already here. The water, I sent the bar a long time ago to the earth, and it's already been here. That living water that I'm talking about, that one that sprouts life and gives life to everything on the earth. You know, the foundation of the universe was formed by the bar of Yahuwah, by the word of Yahuwah, where the Shamayim were made. You know, that water that springs up to everlasting life, that water been here before we even got here. But guess what? And it shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I purpose and shall conceive for which I sent it. You know, the water that came from Shamayim went to the bottom of the center of the earth. It went to the bottom of the earth, and it was a well of water. And then guess what? It's been here. It was already here. Right? Going to ODE Shalom 34 and 5. The likeness of that which is below is that which is above. Right? It's the same water from above that he rained down to the bar. It's the same water that was in the center and under the earth. That well of water. And guess what? For everything is from above, and from below there is nothing. But it is to be considered to be by those in whom there is no understanding. That's why the woman was like, what are you talking about? You have nothing to draw with. Where is your rope? Because she had no understanding. Where is your rope? Where are you getting this from? How are you going to draw it out? Where's your bucket? You know, the things that normal people do. It says, Khan has been revealed for your salvation. Why do you think he said there's going to be a well of water springing up to everlasting life? Grace was given to you. He says, Khan, grace has been revealed for your salvation. That's why what he's trying to get you to understand. Salvation is here. It's already been here. It's already been here. You know, people say you want to tap in, you got to tap in, you got to lock in. It's already been here. It's been here. And it says, believe and live and be saved, right? That's the hard part. You know, that's the hard part. Because people got so much hatred for people's skin color and what they look like. Right? This is the book of This book of, Job, Ehud, chapter 10, verse 1. Job, Ehud, chapter 10, verse 1. Actually, go to verse, Ehud, chapter 10, verse 8. Job, chapter 10, verse 8. Job, chapter 10, verse 8. It says, your hands fashioned and made me. Right? He's talking about the works of his hands. He said, I praise you for the works of your hands. You know what David said, we just read in the book of Psalms? For your works of your hands, I praise you. Look at everything you did. He says, your hands fashioned me, and now you have destroyed me altogether. Remember that you have made me like clay. Remember me. Remember me that you made me like clay. You know what the thief on the right hand said? That's what the thief on the right hand said. He said, man, remember me, paradise. Remember me. See, if you getting ready to destroy me though, you're still getting ready to die. Because he was on the cross right next to him. He's like, hey, we getting ready to die, but still, remember me, man. You getting ready to destroy me. He said, salvation already been here. And that's everybody on the right hand. He said, I ain't on the right hand of Yahushua. That's you. He said, you getting ready to dust thou art, dust thou shalt return. But remember me in paradise, though. You need to say that. He said, we're going to the dust. We're going to the place where they hold people at. You better hope Yahushua can bail you out. Why? Because that's. He said the day of the Mashiach gonna rise first. Remember me in paradise. I know you're getting ready to destroy me, but he said, remember me in paradise, though. And he said, you have destroyed me altogether. Remember that you have made me like clay. And he said, I'm the potter, you the clay. Now the clay gonna tell the potter what to do. You are the works of my hands. I made you. Who are you to tell me you don't got to keep no commandments? Who are you to tell me that you ain't got to keep no Shabath? Who you tell me you should not love your neighbor as yourself? Who are you? Remember that you made me like clay, and will you return me to the dust? Yeah. He already told Adam that. Yeah, we're going to the dust. And guess what? Did you not pour out like milk the curdle and curdle me like cheese? You clothed me with skin and flesh. It's the same thing Qahalath did. He clothed everybody with skin and flesh when he spoke to the bar. And knit me together with bones and sinews. That's what he did to Adam. Let us make Adam Atzah in our Damus Salim. And guess what he said? You have granted me like life and steadfast love, and your care has preserved my ruach. Huh? Your ruach. Yet these things you hid in your heart. I know that this was your purpose. We talked about your purpose. He said, you called according to his purpose. All things work together for the Ta'ub who are called according to his purpose. We know this is his purpose. That's why he did it. It's all according to his purpose. Why do you think he made Adam, dust thou shalt return? The day you eat of it, you shall move more. Why? Because it's all according to his purpose. That his name may be proclaimed in all the earth, because the earth forgot it. The Adas, the people on the earth forgot it. Verse 14, if I sin, you watch me. He said, watch. He said, you watch me. You know what? Yahuwah got iron too. Iron each lapid. Eyes like flaming torches. He got 7 near. He said, he watching you with his iron. Because you know, watching is an experience. And you got to see him. If I am in the right, I cannot lift my head. Huh? If I am in the right, I cannot lift my head, for I am filled with disgrace. Why? Because you committed sin in your life. Even if you're in the right, be like, I'm in the right. Yeah. But then, what are you doing? You still should be on the ground, because you're going to the dust. you still should not be lifting your head up, even if you're in the right. You shouldn't. Even though this is English. How you say English? Right? This ain't Greek, Latin. Right? I can go there, but. And it says, and look on my, he says, I am filled with disgrace, and look on my affliction, right? Because then you start looking at yourself. Even though you're in the right, you start looking at yourself like, man, I'm doing things the right way, but then look at me. And it says, and were my head lifted up, you would hunt me like a lion. It'd be better you stay on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Stay in your humble and meek and lowly state. Don't even do it. You know how we do. People be thinking they can stand up, like, yeah, you know, look at me. You might as well just stay down. Because we all going to the dust. Yeah, you gonna hunt me like a lion, man. He gonna send Satan after you, because Satan gonna search out your mind in 3 minutes. He gonna say, oh yeah, he haughty in that mind. Yeah, he lifted up. He arrogant and he prideful, but he loved himself. Look at him. He boasting. Yeah, I love that. He gonna send Satan after your mind. And it says, and again, work wonders against me. And then he gonna be doing more stuff against your behind. You be like, man, why this more? He said, just now. We already know we're going to the dust. But it says, you renew your witnesses against me. He said, everything that you thought. He said, he got so many witnesses against you. He got the spider in the corner of the house. And he got the squirrel over there looking at you. Right? He got your cattle over there looking at you. He got that lamb. You think it's just gonna be a human being. He said, I got eyes in every place. He got an eagle flying over your head, looking at you like in the book of Hazon. Whoa, woe to those who inhabit of the earth. Right? He got all types of things looking at you. You got birds looking at you, hearing you speak. They hear you. You renew your witnesses against me and increase your vexation toward me, and you bring fresh troops against me. Why? He said, fresh ones. Because you're not, how you say, you done lifted up your head, you think you're in the right. And now he was like, no, I'm going to bring fresh troops against you. Why did you bring me out from the womb? He said, why you brought me out of here? Why you brought me out of the womb? I could have stayed in my mother's womb and been at peace. I wouldn't have no understanding of all this stuff. I could have just stayed inside of there. But why is he outside of the womb? It says, wound that I had died before, and any eye had seen me, and were as though I had not been carried from the wound to the grave. He said, it'd been better for that. We almost finished this part. And it says, and not my days, are not my days few? Are not our days few? He said, Adam lived 930 years. Look at his days. He said, that's still a few days inside of Yahuwah. They think 1,000 years is a long time. 960 years. You think that's a long time to live? Man can only live like 4 jubilees now, 6, 7 jubilees, and you thinking like, oh yeah, he lived a long time. No, that ain't nothing. They say our lives been shortened so much to where now it's just like, we live our lives like a mosquito. You know, mosquito only lasts 7 days. They go 6 days. They gotta hurry up and sow some seed and bear some children before they get out of here on the 7th day. We like insectoids. They only live 9 days. You know how dogs got 9 lives? They say cats got 9 lives, whatever they say. But then dogs only live that long. Dogs they be happy and joyful, jumping around. They only know, man, I'm only here for about 10 years, 15 at the most. So I might as well get it in, right? And they jumping outside, running around. They ain't thinking about what you thinking about. And it says right here, it says, are my days few? Then cease and leave me alone, that I may find a little cheer before I go, and I shall not return to the land of darkness and deep shadow. That's where we all going. The land of gloom, like thick darkness, like deep shadow without any order, where light is as thick darkness. Why? Because in order for you to understand that, how you think Yahuwah gonna see you? I ain't Ishalapi. Your lamps gotta be continually burning. Your 7 near gotta be continually burning. Your lamps gotta be continually burning, even if it's midnight. thick darkness that anybody can touch. He's going to see you. But if your lamps go out, right? But all this is important. But why we went here? Because when we start looking at our life, we say, why are we say boasting and thinking that one's going to be here forever? But in actuality, one is not. Right, so this is the book of Psalms, Tahalim. This is the book of Psalms, Tahalim. Book of Psalms, Tahalim, 33 and 1. Actually, 33 and 4. 33 and 4. For the word of Yahuwah is upright, and all his works are done in faithfulness. Right, faithfulness. Be faithful. All his works are done in faithfulness. So your works got to be done. Everything you do, any covenant you make, any words you speak, any thoughts you have, has to be in faithfulness. Amunah. He loves righteousness and justice. The earth is full of the steadfast love of Yahuwah. Right? So everything is full of his steadfast love. Why do you need that ahab on the inside? That love. Right? This is the book of Proverbs. This is the book of Proverbs. This is the book of Proverbs. Book of Proverbs, chapter 10 and verse 11. The Proverbs, chapter 10 and verse 11. Marshally, Proverbs 10 and 11. The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life. You know, like a fountain springing up to everlasting life. But the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. And he said, they got violence in their tongue, Qahalath. They got damage. They want to cause damage to you. They conceal it. And you know what happens? When the time is right, they lie in wait. Damage. Their words come out at you, and it'll be damage to you. It's called Qahalath. That's why the whole earth was filled with violence. Qahalath, for what? Because of them. In the book of Genesis, Bereshit chapter 6. They lie in wait, they hold it in, and they come at you with Qahalath and violence to do damage to you. And guess what it says? And you know what it is? Verse 12. Hatred stirs up strife, and to makely only to create strife. Because it's going to delay you. It's going to delay your transformation. They know it. They know it, so that's what they do. It's called competition, concealed violence. They competing with you. They have a rivalry with you, so then they hold back. And then, when the time is right, when it seems like you got some peace, shalom, when it seems like you're getting ready to make that transformation, when it seems like you're getting ready to take that next step, then they come at you with damage, to cause strife, to delay your transformation, to delay your barak, to delay you, so they can pass you and dominate you and be over you. And this is what Yahuwah like. It's like Job said, just stay on the ground. I'm in the right. Just stay on the ground. That's what human beings do. That's what we do. Because are our days short? We don't got a lot of people say, I got a lot of time, so you want to waste your time doing that? People want to waste their time. But love, guess what it says? Hatred stirs up strife, but love covers all offenses. Why? Because that's the correction. What we just said. All that stuff is just correction. Why? Because it's covering your offenses. Because you're premeditating things that you're getting ready to do. So he's correcting you so you won't do it in the future. So your offenses can be covered because you already know. He already know what we're going to do before we do it. It says, on the lips of him who has understanding, wisdom, hakmah, is found. It's found. He said, who's going to draw it out? That's what a woman ain't have no understanding. She didn't understand what that means. But he said, go get your husband, though. She understood that, though. You know how people, how man and woman, we be going to do things without consulting Yahuwah. And then you should do that, and you know what happens. So you know what happened. Some of these people that be agreeing with you, they should be saying, "So where your husband at? Go get your husband. Go call on Yahuwah first." and then come talk to me about what you getting ready to do. They won't do that. He said, where your husband at? Right. On the lips of him who has understanding, wisdom is found, but a rod is for the back of him who lacks sense. Why? Because if people lack sense, they mouth of the wicked, they concealing that violence. You lacking sense. You really actually want to plot and scheme against Yahuwah's children? And then you end up causing damage to his children because you lying in wait, and then you want to come out with some violence with your tongue and strife. You actually want to do that. You actually want to do that, right? This is the book. This is the book of 1 Samuel. This 1 Samuel. This is the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 18, and verse 8. This is Aleph Shamuel 18 and 8. Actually, yeah, 18 and 6. Aleph Shamuel 18 and 6. As they were coming home, when David returned from striking the Philistines, the women came out of the cities of Yasharal, singing and dancing to meet the Malak, King Saul. Meet King Saul. Right. So anytime you got two men and you got a bunch of women around, understand that one person thinking they greater than another man. Do you understand? He said, you don't know how much people don't know how much power a woman has, or women, over a man. You have no idea. Look what happens whatever happens. The women came out of the cities of Yasharal singing and dancing to meet King Saul with tambourines, with joy, songs of joy, and musical instruments. Anytime, think about that, what's doing to your ego. Think about that, what's doing to your ego in your life, and how much you can boast about your life and how great you are. Think about it. Or a woman who got 5 husbands, she's able to snatch up any man she wants. And she can get all of them, she can get 5, 6 husbands, and then the other one she ain't got. She can snatch a man up in a second. Think about what's doing it to your ego. Think about it. And guess what it says? Singing and dancing to meet King Saul and the tambourines with songs of joy and with musical instruments. And the women sang to one another as they celebrated. Shaul struck down his thousands and David his 10,000s, right? So he already had the big ego. He was already feeling good about himself. And then he heard the words to the lyrics of the song, and then he said, nah, that ain't the song I want to hear. That ain't the song. I don't want to hear that no more. No more of that song. Right? I don't want to hear that. And Saul was very angry and at this saying that this pleased him, and he said, they have ascribed to David 10,000, and to me they ascribed 1,000. Just like somebody who had more money than you don't have more money. Or somebody got more than you and you don't. Or that person's small, but they giving him more than what I have, and I already have all these things. Look at me, how great I am. And this person, he ain't got nothing, and they all praising this person. And what can he have more but the Malkuth? And Saul eyed David from that day on. So that now he done went from a certain state of mind. Now he's concealing his violence toward him. And at this point in time, he's gonna come out with his strife and gnash at him with his mouth and his tongue. That's what he's waiting on. He's concealing it. But love covers all offenses, though. You concealing it. But he said love, ahab, covers offenses. He said open rebuke is better than secret love. Tukah. The next day, a harmful Ruach Elohim rushed upon Saul. Now he got a demon on him. It's a harmful Ruach. He said a harmful Ruach. And guess what? And he raved within his house while David was playing the lyre as he did day by day. So he raved, he nabbered in his house. He was talking to himself, and he was concealing that hatred. He was concealing what was inside of him. And guess what? And he was raving inside of his little body. his house. Because know ye not that your body is the temple of Yahuwah? Know ye not that your body is the actual vessel, the place where Yahuwah dwells? And you talking inside of your body of what you're getting ready to do. And guess what? And he raised in his house, he nobbed within himself in the house where David was playing the lyre day by day. And Saul said, and Saul had a spear in his hand. He was concealing their violence. And Saul hurled the spear, for he thought, I will pin Dawid to the wall. But Dawid evaded him twice. Why? He tried to kill him. Why? Because you was in the way. You was in the way of my praise. You was in the way of my ego getting boosted. You in the way of all these people paying attention to me and not you. And you in the way. You're in the way. You need to get up out of here. I gotta find a way to destroy you. And Saul was afraid of Dawid because Yahuwah was with him, but had departed from Saul. Why? Because Saul was already told he was gonna lose his stuff. But then he's like, man, he done departed from me, and now, the Ruach ain't on air. He said the Ruach had departed from many of them. Because when you lose the Ruach, it ain't gonna help you in your weaknesses. Because this is Saul's weakness. This could be both male and female. Because the Ruach is there to help you in your weaknesses. But if you ain't got the Ruach, then guess what? You're gonna be doing what Saul's doing right here. So Saul removed him from his presence and made him a commander of thousands, and he went out and came in before the people, and Dawid had success in his undertaking, for Yahuwah was with him. And when Saul saw that he had great success, he stood in fearful awe of him. He stood in fearful awe of him. Right? This is the book of this is the book of 1 Samuel. This is the book of 1 Samuel. Aleph Shemuel. Aleph Shemuel, chapter 22, verse 1. And Dawid departed from there and escaped to the cave of Kalum. Right, so let's go over to Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 21, verse 1. Aleph Shemuel 21 and 1. Then Dawid came to Nob and Abimelech the priest. And Abimelech came to meet Dawid trembling and said to him, why are you alone? He said, what you alone for? What's going on? And no one is with you. And Dawid said to Abimelech the priest, the king has charged me with a matter and said to me, let no one know anything of the matter about which I send you, and which I have charged you. I have made an appointment with the young men for such and such place. Now then, what do you have on hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread, or whatever is here. And the priest answered Dawid, I do not. He says, Dawid, I have no common bread on hand. But there is Qahalath bread, if the young men have kept themselves from women. And Dawid answered the priest, truly women have been kept from us as always when I go out on expedition. The vessels of young men are Qahalath, even when it is an ordinary journey. How much more today will their vessels be Qahalath? So the priest gave him the Qahalath bread, for there was no bread there but the bread of presence, right? This is the same thing you're supposed to do in the Yerushalayim. You're supposed to offer, bring Yahuwah some bread in Leviticus chapter 2. He said, the only thing I got is the bread of his presence. I don't have no ordinary bread though. He said, we kept ourselves from women. Isn't that what through the virgins did? When Mashah went into the mountain, he said, keep yourself from women and set apart yourself against the third day. He said, these are virgins. To follow Mashiach everywhere he went. But it says right here, so the priest gave him the Qahalath bread, for there was no bread there but the bread of presence, which is removed from before Yahuwah to be replaced by the hot bread on the day it was taken away. It's a continual offering. It's a continual offering of Lakam. Every single day. These are the people that are going to be in Jerusalem. You know, the city that's going to be where Yahuwah is going to dwell. This is how the bread is going to be offered. Morning and evening. It's a continual sacrifice. You can't offer no continual sacrifice with Yahuwah by killing no animals. The only way you can offer a continual sacrifice with Yahuwah is with your body, and it be pleasing with Him. You got continual livers, you got a continual liver, you got continual kidneys, you got continual things inside of your body that you don't have to remove and offer and burn. It stays continually in your body. Your body is the continual offering. You cannot make a continual offering by killing animals over and over again. The only continual offering that you can make are the organs that are continually in your body, that you continually have in your living organism in your body. And by offering them up every single day, you can continually offer it. You can't continually offer something that you kill every single day. You go kill an animal every single day. How you gonna make a continual offering? When you have your body, you got to make a continual offering. And it says right here, which is removed from before Yahuwah to be replaced by hot bread on the day it was taken. Now a certain man of the servants of Saul was there. So now you got Saul. You know how Saul was? Saul concealed that violence that he had towards Dawid. He had it in his heart. And you know what he had to do? And they found out about it. And guess what? Now a certain man of the servants of Saul was there that day, detained before Yahuwah. His name was Doeg, the Edomite, and chief of Saul's herdsmen. Then Dawid said to Abimelech, then have you not here a spear or sword at hand? For I thought I brought neither my sword nor my weapons with me, because the king's business required haste. And the priest said, the sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom you struck down, is in the valley of Elah. Behold, it is here wrapped in cloth behind the ephod. If you will take that, take it. For there is none but that here. And Dawid said, there is none like that. Give it to me. And Dawid rose and fled that day from Saul. He's still running from him. Because you know what happens when you get these evil spirits on the inside, these shadim, you start pursuing the person, and you keep pursuing him over and over again, and then you start to do other things as well. Right? It go from one thing to another thing to another thing, it keeps abounding and abounding. And went to Achish and the guy, and it says, and the servants of Achish said to him, is not David the king of the land? Did they not sing to one another of him in dances? And now you see why. He recanting the very thing that kindled the ego, that kindled, they still talking about it. They still talking about it. They're still talking about it. So you think when people find out stuff about you, you think they ain't still talking about it? You think when you have an ordeal or somebody hears something that boosts somebody's ego and then somebody try to take you out and kill you, think people ain't talking about it? You think when you do something in life or things that's happened or dispute or things, you think people still ain't talking about it? Or a broken relationship or things that happen, you think people ain't talking about it? They still talking about it. It says, and David arose and fled that day from Saul. Them same people like Saul, these male and female people like Saul, they just like Saul. You know what happened? And went to Achish the Gath, and the servants of Achish said to him, is not Dawid the king of the land? Did they not sing to one another of him in dances? Saul struck down his 1,000 and Dawid his 10,000. Right? They still talking about it. There goes some more gossip and slander, right? Did he say that? We know who that is. And Dawid took these words to heart. And you know what? And was much afraid of Achish, the king of God. You know what happens? They talking about it. Everybody, not a Gentiles talking about it. He was scared. He said, we heard about that thing, that song of women, the song that women sung. They talking about the song that the women sung. And that thing done spread all the way to the king of God. Man, you know Saul tried to take you out. So he changed his behavior before them and pretended to be insane. He did what? He pretended to be insane in their hands and made marks on the doors of the gate and let his spittle run down of his beard. Why? Because of what people were saying about him? Because they heard about the song that the women sung about Saul and David. He's like, man, surely they know this. They know all about it. I thought I was safe. Now they know about it. And you know what that makes you do? It makes you have an erratic behavior like this. And you start pretending like this. And you can't be yourself. You can't even be yourself. Let's go from male and female. Man, you heard about what such and such did. You know, when somebody found out something about a long, long time ago, they be like, man, you can't be yourself. Now, David just said, hey, you know what? Yeah, that's the song they sung. Yeah, I'm him. You know, all this stuff. You ain't had to do all that. But he was afraid so much to where now he had to pretend to be something and he ain't got to do it. All because of a song that women sung. Or some praises they sung. Then Achish said to his servants, behold, you see this man is mad. Why then have you brought him to me? Do I lack madman? That you have brought this fellow to behave as a madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house? He's like, this person ain't coming in my house. He's like, you ain't coming nowhere near. See, Dawid now he going against the Goyim, the people of the other lands, and now because he run away from Saul. Verse 22, chapter 22, and Dawid departed from there and escaped to the cave of Adullam. And when his brothers and all his father's house heard it, they went down here to him. Because everybody looking for him, even his father's house, even his family, everybody looking for him. Why? Because of one person. Because of Saul. Everybody looking for him. And guess what happened? And everyone was in distress, and everyone was in debt, and everyone was embittered of soul. Because this is a part of the birthing process. It's a part of the birthing process. Bitterness, resentment, things people say, you're going to sackcloth of ashes, you got to run for your life. This is all a part of the birthing process. You got to pretend, you got to do all these things just so people won't look at him in a certain way. This is all a part of his birthing process. And guess what else is a part of the birthing process? Gathered him, and they became commander over him. And there were with him about 100 and 400 men. Guess what? About 400 men. Guess what? And Dawid went from there to Mizpah of Moab. And he said to the king of Moab, please let my father and mother stay with you till I know what Elohim will do for me. He got to hide his parents. They going online researching who his parents is. They going to see who you are and what you are and who you are. They going to try to destroy everything. I got to hide my mother and father from you people. That's what he looking like. He said, when you got an evil, harmful spirit from Yahuwah on you, he said, I gotta hide everything from y'all. He said, man, please keep my mother and my father here. Now he got to keep them there. And he left them with the king of Moab. He got to leave them with the king of Moab. Because of Saul. I got to leave them with him. Because of Saul. And they stayed with him until all that time that Dawid was in the stronghold. He said, I got to hide my parents from y'all. That's when you got them harmful spirits on you. Them evil spirits from Yahuwah. But that's what happens. Because, it's all a part of the birthing process, though. It's all a part of it. Then the prophet Nabi God said to Dawid, do not remain in the stronghold, depart and go into the land of Yehuda. So Dawid departed and went to the forest of Hathor. So why we do all that? There's a reason why. Because all this took place, and he said, why is this person continue? Why he got to hide all his things and pursuing David, everywhere he went? Because it's a part of something, right? All right, so this is the book of Exodus. This is the book of Exodus. All right, so this is the book of Exodus, chapter 17. Exodus chapter 17. Exodus chapter 17. Shemuth Exodus chapter 17. And verse 1. Exodus chapter 17 and verse 1. It says, and all the congregation of the people of Yasharah moved from the wilderness of Sin by stages, according to the commandment of Yahuwah, and camped at Raby'ay. But there was no water for the people to drink. Wow. There ain't no water for them. You know what happens when you ain't got no water? Give me some of that living water you're talking about. And guess what? Therefore the people quarreled with Mashah and said, give us water to drink. Is that what even the woman at the well got more sense? The woman at the well got more sense to know how to ask for water. Yeah, give me some of that living water you're talking about. If you knew who was speaking to you, you would ask for living water. You have nothing to draw with. Where were you going to get this water from? He said, you drink from this water, you'll never thirst again. Matter of fact, it'd be like a well of water. It'd be like a spring of living water going into everlasting life. But you know what other people do when they ain't got no water? Give us water to drink. You know what Yahushua asked the woman at the well? And Mashah said to them, why do you quarrel with me? Because you know what happened? Because they are concealing that violence in their heart. They conceal it. And they create strife. Because they conceal it in their heart. But love covers all offenses, though. Because if you don't get no love to cover your offenses, you're going to be pursuing people, and you're going to be chasing them around, you're going to be pursuing them, you're going to be spreading rumors, you're going to be doing all these things just like Saul was doing. And then he did, isn't this David, Dawid, that was Saul stroked out his 1,000? Then you got to pretend and act crazy, then you got to go hide your mother and your father from him. Why? Because these people are going to pursue you. They're going to chase you down. And guess what happened? Why do you test Yahuwah? He says, and Mashah said to them, why do you quarrel with me? Why do you test Yahuwah? But the people thirsted there for water. And the people grumbled against Mashah and said, why did you bring us up out of Mizraim to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst? And people say, if you want to understand, I'll give you some of the living water. He said, this water was here before you was even here. That's why Yahushua was on the cross. So tell us, he said, I thirst. You think he was talking about you? To give him something to drink? So Mashah cried to Yahuwah. That's what Yahushua was crying to. When he cried on totality. He said, I give you some of the living water though. That's what Yahushua was crying to. He cried to Yahuwah. You think he was crying to you to give him some water? He said, you concealing that violence and you're going to give him sour wine. I'm going to cry to you. You're going to cry to a human being when you're thirsty? And he says, what shall I do with this people? And guess what he said? They are almost ready to stone me. He said, they're almost ready. They getting ready to throw some stones at me. And you know what he said? And Yahuwah said to Mashah, pass on before the people and taking with you some of the elders of Yasharal, and take it in your hand the staff that you struck now, and go. Behold, I will stand before thee at the rock of Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and the water shall come out of it, and the people will drink. And he shall do what? Behold, I will stand before you there on the rock of Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and the water shall come out of it, and the people will drink. And Moshe did so in the sight of the elders of Yasharal, and he came, and he called the name of the place Massah, because the quarreling of the people of Yasharal, and because they tested Yahuwah by saying, is Yahuwah among us or not? He hit him. Why do you think they hit Yahushua over the head? Is Yahuwah among us or not? Why do you think they crucified him that way? Is he among us or not? He said, I'll give you this living water, but if you get this living water, you'll never thirst again. Why? Because you don't have no need to know what I should teach you after this. Is he among us or not? Is he in you or not? He said, do you believe this or not? But guess what? Verse 8. Then Amalek came forth with Yasharal at Rehadim. So Moshe said to Yahushua, choose us for us men and go out and fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand at the top of the hill with my staff of Elohim in my hand, right? But what did he say right here? In my hand. So Yahushua did as Moshe told him and fought with Amalek, while Moshe and Aharon and Hur went up to the top of the hill, right? Going to the book of 1 Kings. 1 Kings. First Kings chapter 9, verse 36. 1 Kings chapter 9, verse 35. 1 Kings chapter 9, verse 35. But when they went to bury her, they found no more of her than the skull and the feet and the palms of her hands. Why? Why do we say skull, her feet, and the palms of her hands? That's all they saw. And when they came back and told him, he said, this is the word of Yahuwah, which he spoke by the servant Al-Yahu the Tishbite in the territory of Yezreel. The dog shall eat the flesh of Isabel. Right? All they saw was our hands and our feet. That's all they saw, right? This is the book of, because that's all they saw. That's all they saw. Right? And why was there only her hand and her feet there? Why was there only her hands and her feet there? Right, so this is the book of, right, so this is the book of Exodus chapter 21 and verse 23. But if there is harm, then you shall pay life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, and foot for foot. That's why it was just her hands and her feet left. Why was her hands and her feet left? Burn for burn, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. Why? Why? Why was just her hands and her feet left? Going to the book of 1 Kings. Book of 1 Kings. Book of 1 Kings chapter 16. Book of 1 Kings chapter 16 and verse 31. It says, and as it had been, verse 16, verse 31, And as if it had been a light thing for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, he took for his wife Isabel, the daughter of Ithabal, the king of Zidonians, and went and served Baals and worshipped him. He erected an altar to Baal, the house of Baal, which he built in Samaria. And Ahab made an Ashereth. Ahab did more to provoke Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yasharal, in anger than all the kings of Yasharal who were before him. He says, so why he left her hands and her feet? Because she's supposed to have, he said, you're going to eat everything, but he said, the only thing they saw was her hands and her feet. Oh, you saw that, right? So this is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 21. 1 Kings, chapter 7, 1 Kings, verse 21 and 5. But Isabel, his wife, came to him and said to him, why is your ruach so vexed that you eat no food? And he said to her, because I spoke to Naboth the Israelite and said to him, give me your vineyard for money, or else if it please you, I will give you another vineyard for it. And he answered, I will not give you my vineyard. And Isabel, his wife, said to him, do you now govern Yasharal? Arise and eat bread, and let your heart be cheerful. I will give you the vineyard of Naboth, the Jezreelite. And she wrote letters to Ahab, and she wrote letters in Ahab's name and sealed them with his seal. She forged documents. And then she sealed it with his seal. And then she did what? And she sent the letters to the elders and the leaders who lived in Naboth in his city. And then she sent out all the information in her scheme out through every single part of Yasharal, where Naboth lived, in the city where he lived. So that means he let the governor know, he let the tax collector know, they let everybody know, the people know, the congregates, the people around in that city, they let everybody know that this person was living there. Because they wanted to take him down. Because when you plan and you scheme and you plot and you do all these things, he said, you just like Isabel, you just like Saul. And she wrote letters, in the letters, proclaim a fast and set Naboth at the head of the people, and set 2 worthless men opposite him, and let them bring a charge against him, saying, you have cursed Elohim the king. Then take him out and stone him to death. That's what they told him, Shabath. Man, these people all together almost get ready to stone me. Because there ain't no water. Matter of fact, they get ready to stone me. Matter of fact, they're going after my mother and my father. Like Dawid had to hide his family among Moab. I had to hide in the cave somewhere. He said, I gotta even hide all the other half from these people. Why? Because these people are set on edge. He said the teeth are set on edge, right? And guess what? And set 2 worthless men, they say stone to death, right? Going over to, verse 11. And the men of the city and the elders of the leaders who lived in that city did as Isabel had sent word to them. And as it was written in the letter that she sent to them, they proclaimed a fast and set Naboth at the head of the people. And 2 worthless men came in and sat opposite him, right? So they sent 2 worthless false accusers. You know why they did that? Because it's called plotting and scheming. And you getting ready to cause some damage to people. And the worthless men brought a charge against Naboth in the presence of the people, saying, Naboth cursed Elohim and the king. And then they falsely accused him and lied. So they took him outside the city and stoned him to death with stones. They lied. He said, why he left only her hands and her feet? And they sent Isabel, saying, Naboth has been stoned. He is dead. They love when you die. When they scheme and they plot, you get fulfilled. Or they love when you get destroyed. And your life is destroyed and you're in turmoil and misery and pain. They love it. It gives them a high. It's been fulfilled. But guess what? And as soon as Isabel heard that Naboth had been stoned and was dead, Isabel said to Ahab, "Arise, take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite, which he refused to give you money. Give you for money. For Naboth is not alive but dead." So why when the dogs came and ate her up and left her hands and her feet? He said, that's all they left. That's all they left, right? That's all they left, right? That's all they left, right? This is the book of Matthew. It's the book of Matthew. Matthew. Matthew chapter 18, verse 1. Matthew chapter 18 and verse 1. Matthew chapter 18, verse 1. Actually, 18 and 10. See that you do not despise one of these little ones. For I tell you, in Shamayim, their Malachim will always see the face of my Father who is in Shamayim, right? What do you think? If a man has 100 sheep, and the one of them go astray, he does not leave the 99 in the mountains and go search out the one who went astray? So why her hands and her feet left? Out of all this stuff that happened, why is all this being done? Because he said the dog's gonna eat you, but they left her hands and her feet. Right, keep going. And it says, what do you think? If a man have 100 sheep and one of them go astray, does he not leave the 99 in the mountains and go search out the one who went astray? And he finds it, he truly says, and rejoices in more than over the 99 that went astray. So it is not the will of my Father for what? That any one of these little ones should perish. He is dead. Naboth is dead. As soon as she heard it, go take possession of his stuff. Once we found out he died, go take possession of his stuff. His house, his land, his houses, his knowledge, his wisdom, his understanding. Once he's dead, take over everything he got. Take everything he has. Make him, right? Make him not. And you can get it all back. It could be yours. Right? You know the sad part about it? This is Matthew 18:7, going up. Woe to the world for temptations of sin. For it is necessary that temptations come, but woe to the one whom temptations come. And if your hand or your foot cause you to sin, cut it off. Why do you think her feet? Why do you think her hand was left there? That's all they saw was her hands and her feet. That's all they had. The dogs came and ate her up. But it says also, it is better for you to enter the crippled and lame than to have 2 hands or 2 feet and be thrown in eternal fire. Why do you think he left the 2? He had her hands and her feet left. That's it. And you know, guess what her hands and her feet getting ready to go into? And if your eye calls you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. That's why Ahab, you shouldn't have been looking at his stuff. Been covetous of what he had. And trying to plot and scheme to try to get it. That's why Saul shouldn't have been covetous of what Dawid was getting. Because he sinned already. And he eyed David his whole time. He was trying to take him out and kill him dead. Matter of fact, he went after his family. He went after his family and his parents too. He was going after everybody. He had to hide everything he had. That way he had to hide his possessions and the things people were with him, and he had to hide his parents. He said, because your eyes causing you to sin. And guess what? Tear it away. It is better for you to enter into into life with one eye than 2 eyes and be thrown into Sheol. He said it's better. He said it's better, right? All right, so this is the book of. All right, so this is. All right, so this is the book of Matthew chapter 19. Matthew chapter 19 and verse 13. Then children were brought to him that he might lay his hands on them and pray. The disciples rebuked the people, but Yahushua said, let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them. For to such belongs the Malkuth of Shamayim. And he laid his hands on them and went away. He went away and did what? And behold, a man came up to him, saying, Teacher, what good deed must I do to have eternal life? And he said to him, why do you ask me about what is good? There is only one who is good. If you will have eternal life, keep the commandments. He said to them, which ones? Yahushua said, you shall not murder. Isabel, Saul. Even David, when he killed Bathsheba's husband. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness. These are all things people did. He said, you better not cause one of these little ones believing me to sin. Honor your father and your mother. And why do you think David hid his parents from Saul? No, evil Saul. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. The young men said to him, all these I have kept. What do I lack? He's saying, if he's a tower, he's saying Pesach, unleavened bread. That's what he said. No, that ain't what he said. Not saying you ain't supposed to cook Pesach, unleavened bread, and Qahalath, and Bakor, and Teruah, and Kafar, and Kagsuka. No. He's just the behaviors that you do inside of it, it's all worthless, right? The young man said to him, all these I have kept. What do I lack? Yahushua said to him, if you will be perfect, go sell all you possess and give to the poor, and you will have treasures in Shamayim, and come and follow me. He said, what? But that's the whole point. Mark 12 and 28. Mark 12, 28. Mark 12, 28. It says, and one of the scribes came up and heard them disputing with one another. He said, why are you quarreling with me? You know what Mashah said to the people? Because they ain't have no water. You know, I said, when you get thirsty. And one of the scribes came up and heard them disputing with one another, and seeing that he answered them well, he asked them, which commandment is the most important of all? Which one? Yahushua answered, the most important is, hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah your Elohim, Yahuwah is Akkad. He's one. That's the most important thing you should know. And you know the sad part about it? People still don't. He said, I care less about that commandment. You know why? Because I like to do what Saul and Isabel do. I like to do what the children of Yasharal do. I like to do that type stuff. I like to plot and scheme. I like to spy on people. I like to find out what people doing, where they at, where they going. I'm covetous. Right? That's what people like to do. That's what people like to do. I like to find out what that person got, so I can see where they at, so I can have some information, right? And Yahuwah Elohim, Yahuwah is one, and you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart. That's all. That means all of your heart, your body, your senses, and with all your soul, your nefesh, your soul, and with all your mind, and all your koach, your strength. Say, I don't want to do that. You know what? The second is this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. And the scribe said to him, you are right, teacher. You have truly said that he is one, and there is none other beside him. And to love him with all your heart and with all understanding, with all understanding, because if you ain't got no understanding, you don't know nothing about no drawing no water from no well, from no subterranean water. You ain't gonna understand. Your understanding gonna be so off. You're gonna be thinking that you actually doing the right thing when you actually doing it wrong. And you know what happened? With all understanding and with all strength, and to love one's neighbor as oneself is much more than whole burnt offerings and sacrifices. And when Yahushua saw, he answered wisely. When he said he answered wisely, he said, that's a wise saying that you just said. He said to him, you are not far from the Malkuth of Elohim. Because that's greater than all your food offerings, all your sacrifices, all your songs, all your feast days, all your things you do, all many times you wash each other's feet. All that stuff that people do. They try to pretend. All your songs of praise and all the things that boost your ego. All the things that you can ever create with your thought process. All the times you cook for your husband, all the times that you love your wife, all the times you did it, it's greater than that. He said, I only did it for one day. He said, it's greater than that. He said, it's greater than anything you can ever do on this earth. Why? When you love your neighbor, you love yourself. It's much more than whole burnt offerings and sacrifice. Why? Because all these things that people boast about within themselves. He said, can you do this on a consistent basis all the way to the rest of your life to your end? So that's the whole point. Can you do this all the way to the end of your life? It says, and after that, no one dared to ask him any more questions. He said, I ain't gonna ask you no more questions. Why? Because when you start, why would you ask somebody more questions? These people already knew the Torah. Why you know. So why do I need to, why you need to ask more questions? You already know what to do. Right? He said you already know what to do. Right? So this is the book of going on to Bereshith, Genesis. Bereshith, Genesis chapter 32 and 9. And Jacob said, O Elohim of my father Abraham, and Elohim of father Yitzhak, O Yahuwah, who said to me, return to your country and to your kindred, that I may do you good. I am not worthy of the least of all the deeds of steadfast love, and all the faithfulness that you have shown to your servant. For with only my staff I crossed this Jordan, and now I have become two camps. He said, with my staff I crossed this Jordan, right? And now I become two camps. Please deliver me from the hand of my brother. He's like, please deliver me from the hand of my brother. What your brother going to do? From the hand of Asu, for I fear him. Why do you think David was fleeing Saul, running away from Saul? Why do you think all Yahoo were running away from Isabel? It's the same pattern, same people, same Ruach, same spirits, same people, same understanding, lack of understanding, same people. Same people. No different. Why do you think Yahushua arrest him and he vanished out of their sight? Same people. Same people. And it says right here, please deliver me from the hand of my brother and from the hand of Asu, for I fear him that he may come and attack me, the mother with the children. Why do you think David hid his parents from Saul? He gonna kill everybody. David at that time ain't have children. But he said, man, you finna kill my mother and my father. And guess what happened? Please deliver me from the hand of my brother Asu, for I fear him that he may come and attack me, the mother with the children. You know what happens when you start messing with Yahuwah's children, man? You better not cause no damage. And you better not despise one of the little ones. You know how Yahuwah said? He said, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. He said the mothers with the children. You said, are you crazy? And you want to plot and scheme. But guess what? But you said, I will surely do you good and make you your offspring as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. For he stayed there that night, and from what he had with him, he took a present for his brother Asu. 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 200 ewes, and 20 rams, 30 milking camels, 30 calves, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, and 10 male donkeys. Now you think about that. He had so much wealth for Asu. He said, please, Yahuwah, how am I going to get out of this? And you see what he had? You see how much wealth he had to bring? To stop them. He was thinking about his wife and his children. He was thinking about everything he had. And he had to literally gather his wealth just to get this person off his back. And guess what happened? These he handed over to his servants, every drove by itself, and said to his servants, pass on ahead of me and put a space between drove and drove. So he put wealth. He put a whole bunch of things in front of him before his wife and his children. He instructed the first, when Asu, my brother, meets you and asks you, to whom do you belong? Where are you going? And whose are these ahead of you? Then you shall say, they belong to your servant Yaakov. They are a present sent to my master Asu. You see how much he had to put in front of him? How much wealth? Because the animals were wealth in times. And moreover, he is behind us. He said, look at this. I got to put things in front of me so you won't stop. He likewise instructed the second, the third, and all who followed the droves. Ye shall say the same thing to Asu when you find him. And ye shall say, moreover, the servant Yaakov is behind us. For he thought, I may appease him with the present that goes ahead of me, and afterward I shall see his face. Perhaps he will accept me. Perhaps he won't kill me. Perhaps. I gotta do it 3 times because I gotta have 3 witnesses. So the present passed on ahead of him, and he himself stayed that night in the camp. And that same night he arose and took 2 wives and his female servants and his 11 children, and crossed the ford of Jabbok, and he took them and sent them across the stream everything and else that he had. And he was left alone. He was broke. He's like, man, I ain't got no money. I gave you everything to eat, Asu. And I put my family on the other side of the river, and now I'm by myself. Because Yahushua said, what do I lack? He said, you know what to do? He said, sell all you have and give it to the poor. You have treasure in Shabath. You see, and the sad part about it, Yaakov was willing to take a loss. Matter of fact, he was willing to take a loss. Not only was he willing to take a loss, he was willing to even become poor just to save his life. And we said, I'll give you this living water. He said, you get this living water, you'll never thirst again, though. And Yaakov was left alone, and the man wrestled with him until the breaking of the day. He said he wrestled with him. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Yaakov, he touched his hip socket, and Yaakov's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. So he said, these are part of the birthing process. So how you supposed to get eternal life? You gotta go through some things. You're gonna have to make right with everything you've done in your life, even if you go broke. Even if your hip go out of socket. You gotta go through some stuff. This is part of the birthing process. How you gonna get born? How you gonna become born again? Pain? What do you think? You think your hip going out of joint? You think it ain't painful? You think not knowing that your Asu is coming to kill you, you think that wasn't like bitterness and bitter for him? You don't think that was something that, you think the resentment that Asu had for him, and the bitterness that he had, Yaakov had, and things that was getting ready to happen to him, you think he won't think about that? Because all things work together for the good and call according to his purpose. Now, all these are part of the purpose of him being born again. And he wrestled with him, and he said, let me go, for the day is broken. But Yaakov said, I will not let you go until you barak me. And he said to him, your name shall no longer be your name. What is your name? And he said, Yaakov. Then he said, your name shall no longer be called Yaakov, but Yasharal. That's how this is part of the birthing process. How are you supposed to be born again? How are you supposed to get a new name? Your name gonna say, my name didn't change? Because when you go through a trial, you go through situations, things are going to change. If you believe it. Things are getting ready to change. If you believe it. And it says, your name shall no longer be called Yaakov, but Yasharal, for you have striven with Elohim and with men and have prevailed. Then Yaakov asked him, please tell me your name. But he said, why is it that you ask my name? And there he baraked him. He said, what you asking for my name for? So Yaakov called the name of that place Peniel, right? Saying, for I have seen Elohim face to face. Because Yahuwah is your mirror. Why the paint off your face? You know, all that stuff you covering up? You know, all the things you want to make right in your life? Why do you think Yaakov get ready to make right with his brother? Why the paint off your face? Prove your love. Now let's see what happened. It says, so Yaakov called the name of that place Peniel, saying, for I have seen Elohim face to face, and yet my life has been delivered. The sun rose upon him as he passed, and Peniel limping because of his hip, and he was in pain. But his name got changed though. He's like, man, look at here, my name got changed though. And you know the sad part about it, he didn't say, oh, my name's still Yaakov. You know, he said, my name Yasharal. When the sun rose, he walked right in it. He ain't hesitate. I don't know about that. And guess what he said? So Yaakov called the name of that place Peniel, saying, for I have seen Elohim face to face, and yet my life has been delivered. He said, I've been delivered. But you see what he had to go through to get delivered? You see what he had to give up to be delivered? You see what he had to do? He had to put himself alone. Because sometimes you got to be alone in order to get delivered. People say, how am I get delivered? You got to be alone. How is he going to get delivered? How are you going to get his name changed? How are you going to understand what this is all about? He forsook all. Do you understand what he just did? He forsook all. He even put his wife on the other side of the river. He sent everything he had away, even his messengers and all his stuff he owned. He forsook all to get that name. Even his wife and his children. He forsook all. So you gotta ask yourself, what are you willing to do? So your code called the name of that place, Penuel, saying, for I have seen Elohim face to. How you gonna see Yahuwah face to face? You won't forsake all. And yet my life has been delivered. The sun rose upon him, and he passed Penuel limping because of his hip. Therefore, to this day, the people of Yasharal do not eat the sinew of the thigh that is on the hip socket, because he touched the socket of Yaakov's hip and sinew's thigh. Verse 30, chapter 33, and Yaakov lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Asu was coming. He had to forsake all. And guess what happened after that? And looked, and behold, Asu was coming, 400 men with him. So he divided the children among Leah and recalled and 2 female servants and put up the servants with their children in front. Then Leah with her children and recalled and Yusuf last of all. And he himself was on them. Right? He put them oldest to youngest. Oldest to youngest. To the smallest seed. To the fully grown plant, to the smallest seed. Because you know why? And he himself went on before them, bowing himself to the ground 7 times. So you say 7 times. Just how you got the 7 periods and the 7 muads. And 7 times a day you give praise to Yahuwah. And today is the 7th day. Swore not wrestle our word perfection. He did it 7 times. And 7 near on your menorah. Because you know who moves in 7s? The 7 years after Jubilee. Year of release. Until he came near to his brother. He getting ready to release something. That's what's getting ready to happen. But Asu ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, And they wept. What do you mean kissed him? Because righteousness and peace kiss each other. Kindness and truth meet together. Righteousness and peace kiss each other. But look what he had to do to get it. He had to forsake all. Asu was his enemy. But then when he forsook all, kindness and truth meet together. Righteousness and peace kiss each other. And it says, through his eyes, he saw the woman with the children. He said, who are these with you? And Yaakov said, the children whom Elohim has graciously given your servant. Esau didn't know. Esau didn't know nothing about what Yaakov had acquired. Esau went online. Asu went online, spying on him, looking at everything he got, trying to figure out what he's doing. He ain't know nothing about it. But they see when this world that Satan's created, you can't get reconciliations like this. Because everybody's able to look and see with their eyes and their iron, and they won't turn away their eye from it. They work too many things with your hands. This world is designed for you to destroy each other. It's designed that way. But get what it says. The children whom Elohim has graciously given your servant. Then the servants drew near, and they and their children, and bowed down. Everybody hit the ground. We just read in the book of Ehud. He said, aren't our days few? He said, even though I am in the right, and even though I may be right, he said, I will not lift my head up. They all on the ground. They all bow down. It says, and the children whom Elohim has given grace. Then the servants drew near, they and their children, and bowed down. And Leah likewise, and her children drew near and bowed down. Everybody on the ground, people. Everybody's down on the ground. Who cares who in the right? You know what I'm saying? Who cares who in the right? That's just pride. And last, Yusuf and Rakal drew near and bowed down. Asu said, what do you mean by all this company that I met? And now you know what he thinking in his mind? Now he already done bowed on his neck and started weeping. He said, what does this all mean? Like, why is everybody doing this? Yaakov answered, to find favor in the sight of my master. Huh? But Asu said, I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself. He's already got enough. I'm already wealthy. I'm already well off. I already have enough. Keep for yourself. And Yaakov said, no, please. If I have found favor in your sight, then accept this present from my hand. For I have seen your face, which is like seeing the face of Elohim, and you have accepted me. Say what? He said, I look at you as if I seen the face of Elohim. And anything I do to you, guess what? Yahuwah looking at everything I do. He watching me. That's how we just read. He watching us. In Ode Shalom, he watching everything we do. And guess what he said? He said, it's like me seeing the face of Elohim. Please accept my Barak that is brought to you, because Elohim has dealt graciously with me. See, who are watching us? And because I have enough. Thus he urged him, and he took it. You know what happens when you take it? And then Asu said, let us journey on our way, and we will go ahead of you. But Yaakov said, my master knows that the children are frail, and that the nursing flock and the herds are a care to me. If they are driven hard for one day, all the flocks will die. Let my master pass on ahead and his servants, and we lead on slowly at the pace of the livestock that are ahead of me, and the pace of the children, until I come to my master in Seir. So Asu said, let me leave with you some of the people who are with me. But he said, what need is there? Let me find favor in the sight of my master. So Asu returned that day to his way to Seir, but Yaakov journeyed to Sukkot and built himself a house and made booths for his livestock. Therefore, the name of that place is called Sukkot. Right? So you see all this taking place, and you see what happened to him. He had to do some things in order for all these things to take place. Because had he not done it, none of this stuff would, he said, his name would never got changed. And his situation would have never gotten to the point if he didn't forsake all and humble himself down. This is Proverbs chapter 16, Verse 1. The plans of the heart belong to man, but the answer of the tongue is from Yahuwah. All the ways of man are pure in his own eyes, but Yahuwah weighs the Ruach, the spirit. He said, seeing you like seeing the face of Yahuwah. Commit your works to Yahuwah, and your paths will be established. Yahuwah has made everything for its purpose. So he made us for his purpose, that his name may be proclaimed in all the earth. Even the wicked for the day of trouble. Everyone who is arrogant in heart is an abomination to Yahuwah. Everyone who is arrogant in heart is an abomination to Yahuwah. Be assured he will not go unpunished. That's why he said, even though you're in the right, he said, I wouldn't dare lift my head up. Don't even do it. Even though you're in the right. He said, I'm in the house, I'm in the right. He said, don't even lift your head up. Don't even start boasting how you're in the right and the other person in the wrong. He said, then you become arrogant and full of conceit. And then guess what happens? Yahuwah will punish you. He says, by steadfast love and faithfulness, iniquity is atoned. So you think in steadfast love become arrogant? And that's faithfulness? How are you going to be atoned for? And by the fear of Yahuwah, one turns away from evil. Right, here we go, verse 7. When a man's ways please Yahuwah, he will make his enemies be at peace with him. Because righteousness and peace kiss each other. That's what Asu did. Why? Because his ways please Yahuwah. He made his enemies be at peace with him. Because Asu said, strike on every man his sword. And he was getting ready to destroy him. This is the next thing you need to understand. Verse 8. Better is a little with righteousness than great revenues with injustice. Why do you think you're cold for Sukkah? He said, better is a little with righteousness. And me bowing to the ground, make sure I'm doing everything the correct way. Because looking at you like that in the face of Yahuwah. Because Yahushua said, if you done it the least of my brothers, you done it to me. I don't care if your brother evil. The great revenue, he says, and great revenues with injustice. That's what Asu had. But still, verse 9 says, the heart of man plans his way, but Yahuwah establishes his steps. That's why Yaakov said, help me, Yahuwah, show me what I need to do. Right? This is the Dead Sea Scrolls. We almost finished. This is the Dead Sea Scrolls. 4Q 427. Dead Sea Scrolls 4Q 427. This is column 7, fragment 7. Column says 4Q 47 1B or 4Q 449 1C. It says, who is like me among the gods? Who can measure what issues from my lips? Who will summon me with the tongue? I am a friend of the king, companion of the Qahalath ones, and naught shall come to me, and can not compare to my kabod. It says, or I with Elohims in my position, and my kabod is with the sons of the king. I will not crown myself with pure gold and gold of Ophir. They will not place on me, will not be considered for me, right? It says, sing, favorite ones, sing to the king. Sing to him a lot. Kabod, rejoice in the Edah of Elohim. Exalt in the tents of salvation. Praise the Qahalath residence. Exalt together with the eternal host. Ascribe greatness to our Elohim and the kabod of our king. Sanctify his name with stalwarts and lips and powerful tongues, raise your voices in unison. In all periods, cause the sound of your shout to be heard, rejoice with everlasting happiness. Wow. Those 7 periods and all of the periods. He said in every single one of them. But guess what it says right here? This is the last thing, verse 18. Ceasingly bow down in the united assembly. Even though you're in the right. He said, I would dare lift my head up. Why do you think they all bowed down? He said, man, seeing you is like seeing the face of Elohim. Why do you think you say the man ways please Yahuwah? He's making his enemies be at peace with him. And it says right here, Barak, the one who does amazing wonders and show the might of his hand, sealing up the mysteries and revealing hidden things, raising up those who stumble and those of them who fall, changing the behavior of those who await knowledge, and lowering the exalted meetings of the eternally proud. Of the eternally proud, right? That's right. So that was Dead Sea Scrolls Volume 2. This Dead Sea Scrolls Volume. This is Volume 1. This is 4Q 206. 4Q 206. 4Q 207. Let me read this right here. I continued watching until all the wolves who went on chasing that flock died. They kept on chasing. He said that flock died. Why do you think Yaakov and them bowed to him? What do you think was going to happen to him and his children? Had he not done all of that? The wolf was coming. His whole family, he would have died. Matter of fact, why do you think Dawid had to hide his family away? Why do you think us, all y'all who had to hide all the Nabi'im from Isabel? From that one woman. Just one woman did that. Why do you think Athaliah killed all the royal family? They had to hide the one son away from her. Because the flock was going to die. She's going to do some damage. It says, who went on, guess what it says? Continue watching until all the wolves who went on chasing that flock died, sinking and drowning. The water covered them. The flock moved away from, the water went in a barren place in which there was no water or grass. And their eyes were opened, and they saw. I watched until Yahuwah of the flock fed them and gave them water to drink. You know what he told him, Messiah? Hit the rock. Then the other time he said, speak to the rock. He said, man, you can't follow no instructions. He said on the speak to the rock, and then he hit it. But he gave him water though. But Yahushua said, if I give you some of this water, you'll never thirst again. Matter of fact, it'll be a fountain springing up to everlasting life. It will. But first you gonna have to forsake all that. You're gonna be like you be like your code. He said, even though you're in the right, don't even lift your head. He says, and I watched until Yahuwah, the master of the flock, fed them and gave them water to drink and grass to eat. And the lamb climbed on the top of the high rock, and Yahuwah of the flocks, and the master of the flock sent him in the middle of the flock, and they all stood from a distance. He says, so why would he do that? He said they all stood at a distance, right? He said the wolves, they chased them. This is Matthew 18:1. Matthew 18:1. Matthew 18:1. Get out of here. We're almost finished. And it said right here. And at that time, the disciples came to Yahushua, saying, "Who is the greatest in the Malkuth of Shamayim?" And calling him a child, he put him in the midst of them and said, "Truly I say to you, unless you turn and become like children, you will never enter the Malkuth of Shamayim. Whosoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of Shamayim." Why do you think Yaakov humbled himself and forsook all and gave it all away, even put his children on the other side of the river? He was alone. He humbled himself like a child. What happens when a child is born? You give him a name. You give him a name. Because it's a part of the birthing process. It's a part of the transformation. It says, that's why he said, when he sent all these things, it's for correction. He sent the storms and the waves and all these things in your life. It's for correction, for love, and for his land. For the Adas. And he says, "Truly I say to you, unless you turn and become like children, you will never enter the Malkuth of Shamayim." Why do you think Yaakov was able to go in now after that? He said, "You ain't gonna be able to go in there. Whosoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the Malkuth of Shamayim." Why do you think he said you're gonna see yourself in the kingdom with Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, and you yourself cast out? They're gonna be weeping and gnashing of teeth. If we know what causing gnashing of teeth is, we already know what caused teeth set on edge and gnashing of teeth. The revelings and the things that they do, the idol worship. But it says right here, "Whosoever receives one such child in my name receives me." What is this that you are doing, Yaakov? What is all the meaning of all of this? Who do you think he was receiving when he did that? He said, "Seeing you is like seeing the face of Yahuwah. But whosoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it will be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea." Just read in Dead Sea Scrolls, I saw the wolves chasing the flock, and they all died, and they all were drowned. It's like when they came out of Mizraim, Pharaoh chasing them, going across on the water on dry ground. They chasing them. He said the chase is on, right? But eventually, you're gonna go in between, and you're gonna find yourself in a very terrible situation because you're trying to do damage to his children, right? "But whoever causes one of these little ones to believe in me to sin, it would be better for him or her to have a great millstone fastened around his or her neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea." Right? But all that's important, right? All that's important. Right? So this is the book of last couple of things. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50 and verse 1. Jeremiah chapter 50 and Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 1. Jeremiah 50 and verse 1. "The word of Yahuwah spoke concerning Babylon, concerning the land of the Chaldeans, by Jeremiah the Nabim, declare among the nations and proclaim. Set a banner and proclaim, conceal it not, and say, Babylon is taken, Bel is put to shame. Merodach is dismayed, her images are put to shame, her idols are dismayed. For out of the north a nation has come against her, which shall make her land desolation, and none shall dwell in it, both man and beast shall flee away. In those days, in that time, declares Yahuwah, the people of Yasharal and the people of Yehuda shall come together weeping as they come. And they shall seek Yahuwah their Elohim, and they shall ask the way to Saum with faces turned toward it, saying, Come, let us join ourselves to Yahuwah in an everlasting bereath that will never be forgotten. My people have been lost sheep. The shepherds have led them astray, turning them away on the mountains. From the mountain to the hill they have gone. They have gone astray, they have forgotten their fold. All who have found them have devoured them, all the wolves, all the bears, all the lions. And their enemies have said, We are not guilty. They say we ain't guilty. You know, as he said, people say they ain't guilty. For they have sinned against Yahuwah, their habitations of righteousness. Yahuwah, the hope of their fathers. He said, we ain't guilty. Flee from the midst of Babylon and go out of the land of the Chaldeans and be as male goats before the flock. For behold, I am stirring up and bringing against Babylon and gathering a great nation from the north country, and they shall array themselves against her. From there she shall be taken. Their arrows are like a skilled warrior who does not return empty-handed. Right? You say, why you say all that? All right, so this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 3. Let not the archer bend his bow, and let him not stand up in his armor. Spare not her young men, devote to destruction all her army. They shall fall down slain in the land of the Chaldeans, wounded in his streets. For Yasharal and Yehuda have not been forsaken by their Elohim, Yahuwah of hosts, but the land of the Chaldeans is full of guilt against the Qahalath one of Yasharal. He said, man, now you see why your code had to go through all that. Just so this can be said. You're going to say Yasharal. The name of your code. It had to be changed to Yasharal. In order for that to happen, he had to forsake all. He had to forsake all. He said, man, they guilty. You know how they say, we ain't guilty. He said, yeah, you are. Flee from the midst of Babylon and let everyone save his life. He said, save your life. Right, this is during that time, right? But that was the whole point. Because when they took them captive, Yahuwah like, so you did damage to my people. So you think you guilty? You think you ain't guilty for taking them and scattering them? You think you ain't guilty for coming in and conquering and destroying and burning down and taking the gold and doing all that stuff? You think you ain't guilty for the things, the damage you did? It says, be not cut off in her punishment. Right, because you're going to be in the midst of it. He said, be not cut off. That means you're going to die. For this is the time of Yahuwah's vengeance, that repayment he is rendering her. Babylon was a golden cup in Yahuwah's hand, making all the earth drunken. The nations drank her wine, therefore the nations were mad. Suddenly Babylon has fallen, been broken, wail for her. Take balm for her pain, perhaps she may be healed. He's like, what happened to these people? Save your life. Why would he say that? All right, so this is Matthew Yahoo. We almost finished. This is the book of Matthew. All right, so this is the book of Matthew, chapter 28. I think it's 23, yeah. Matthew Yahoo 23 and 26. Matthew Yahoo 23:26. And as they led him away, they seized one Simon Cyrene, who was coming in the country, and laid on him the cross, to carrying it behind Yahushua. And there followed him a great multitude of the people and of the women who were mourning and lamenting for him. But turning to them, Yahushua said, Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me, but weep for yourselves and your children. For behold, the days are coming when they will say, Barak are the barren in the wombs, and those who bore, and that never bore breast, that never nursed. Then they will begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, and on the hills cover us. For if they do these things when the wood is green, what will happen when it is dry? He said, what's going to happen when it's dry? He said, don't weep for me, weep for your children. He said, weep for your children, right? But this is the whole point of this, right? There's a whole point of this, right? But why would he say that? Right? All right, this is book of Luke. This is book of Luke, chapter 1941. Raby'ay 1941. And when they drew near, they saw the city and wept over it, saying, would that you, even you, had known on this day the things that belong to your peace, but now they are hidden from your eyes. For the day will come when your enemies will set a barricade against you and surround you and hem you in on every side and tear you down to the ground and your children within you. And they will not leave one stone upon another, because you did not know the time of your visitation. But you know, he said people in Babylon, they said they ain't guilty though. We just read in Jeremiah chapter 50 and 51. He said they ain't guilty. He said, eventually, he said it's gonna rain. He said, I'm gonna raise up an army from the north, and they're gonna come in and they're gonna destroy you for my children and the children of Yasharal. But right here, guess what it said right here? This is the book of, he said, for the children of Yasharal. Right? So this is the, where we at? Babylon is falling. Babylon. Right, so this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, Matthew 24 and 1. And Yahushua left the temple and was going away when his disciples came to the point to him the buildings of the temple. But Yahushua answered, you see all these things? Do you not truly, he said, do you not truly, I say to you, that there shall not be left one stone upon another that will not be thrown down? He's going to break and tear down your wall. He's literally nobbling about the destruction of Yahushua. He was talking about the destruction of Yahushua. He was talking about the destruction of Yahushua. He was talking about the killing of all the people when they come and invade and destroy it. Before it happened. He was telling them about how you gonna fall. Babylon. He was literally telling them how they're gonna fall. Why are he gonna destroy Babylon? Oh, you mean Jerusalem? And he sat on the Mount of Olives. The disciples came to him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the age? And Yahushua answered them, seeing no one leads you astray. For the time they will come in my name, saying, I am Mashiach, and lead you astray. And you will hear wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not alarmed. For this must take place, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in various places. All these but the beginning of birth pains. Why? Because you're the first fruit of the world. Everything's in pains until the birthing is over. He said all these beginning of sorrows. Why? Because he scattered everybody all throughout the world. That's why famines and earthquakes and pestilence and diverse places, because of all the evil that you're doing. And it says, then they will deliver you up to tribulation and put you to death, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And many will fall away and betray one another and hate one another. And many false Nabi'im will arise and lead many astray. And because of the lawlessness will be increased, the love of many will grow cold. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. And the truth of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout all the world as a testimony to all nations, and the end will come. Why? Because that's his purpose. That his name will be proclaimed in all the earth. If you called according to his purpose. Right? It says, so when you see the abomination and make a desolation spoken by the Nabi, Daniel, standing in God's place in Jerusalem, let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let the one who is in the housetop not go down to take anything out of his house. And let the one who is in the field not turn back to get his cloak. And alas, for women who are pregnant, for those who are nursing infants in those days, pray that your flight be not on winter or on the Shabath. For there will be great tribulation, such as it never was since the beginning of the world until now, nor ever will be. In those days had not been cut short, no human being would be saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. He said, they're going to be cut short. Right? This is the book of Revelations. The book of Hazum. This is the book of Revelations. This is the book of Revelation, Hazum. Book of Revelation chapter 17, Revelation chapter 17 and verse 1. Then one of the 7 Malachim who had the 7 bowls came and said to me, come, and I will show you the judgment of the great prostitute who sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed sexual morality, and with the wine of the sexual immorality and the dwellers on earth have become drunk. And he carried me away in the Ruach into a wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that was full of blasphemous names. And it had 7 heads and 10 horns. 7 heads and 10 horns. What's the 7th letter of the alphabet? Sport, not rest, law, word, perfection, design. And what's the 10th letter of the alphabet? The Yod. The Yod. He holds the 7 stars in his right hand. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet. Why didn't they put Yahushua on his purple robe and a scarlet robe? They took off his clothes and put on a purple robe, and then they took it and put on his scarlet robe. Why do you think they did that to him? And adorned with gold and jewels and pearls, holding in her hand a cup full of abominations and impurities of her sexual morality. He said, man, the arrogant, that's an abomination in the sight of Yahuwah. He said arrogance, he said the arrogant, that's an abomination in the sight of Yahuwah. And on her forehead was written the name of Mystery Babylon, the great mother of prostitutes and of the earth, of earth's abominations. He said, you the mother of it. He said, you the mother of it. Who's the mother of all abominations? And I saw a woman drunk with the blood of the Chdshim and the martyrs of the Yahusha. Who was drunk with the martyrs of Yahusha? Who killed the people of Yahusha Mashiach? Who were drunk with the blood of the saints? Who did that? And when I saw her, I marveled greatly, but the Malach said to me, why do you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and the beast with the 7 heads and the 10 horns that carries her. Who who is this? Who is this people? Who is this people who carries it? Who are the 7 heads that carried in the right hand? Because you have these 7 periods that you go to, and amazingly, during these 7 periods, for some reason, all the people in the flock are getting eaten and swallowed up by the wolves, and nobody doing nothing. And the bears and the lions, nobody cares. All the Chdsh and the martyrs of Yahushua getting swallowed up by the wolves, they chasing them. They chasing them down. The wolves and the bears and the lions. And nobody cares. But the Malak said to me, why do you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and the beast with the 7 heads and the 10 horns that carries her. The beast that you saw was and is not and is about to rise in a bottomless pit and go to destruction. Right? He's going to go to destruction. What's going to happen to them? Any man who offers a sacrifice to any other Elohim but Yahuwah, let him be devoted to destruction. You know what he said? In the book of Shemot. And guess what it says? And the dwellers on earth whose names have not been written in the book of life. From the foundation of the world will marvel to see the beast, because it was and is not and is to come. They're going to marvel. Why are they going to marvel at it? This calls for a mind with Hakmah. The 7 heads are the 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. He said, man, she sits on 7 mountains. He said, this place sits on the 7 mountains. Man, what's going on? And it says, on which women is seated. They are also 7 kings. 5 of them have fallen, and 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And when he does come, he must remain only a little while. Just a little while. As for the beast that was and is not, it is the 8th, but it belongs to the 7th. You know, I talked about when an unclean ruach goes out of a man. He's seeking in the dry places. And when he finds nowhere to rest, he come back to that same house. And he brings 7 other spirits more wicked than himself. And the last state of that place will be worse than it was at the first. You know what to do. And it says in the 8th, but it belongs to the 7th, and it goes to destruction. And the 10 horns that you saw are 10 kings who have not received royal power, but they are to receive authority as kings for 1 hour, together with the beast. These are the one of one mind, and they hand over their power and authority to the beast. They're like Yasharal, the 10 tribes who left Yehuda, and they handed all their power to Satan. And they start worshiping idols and other gods, just like Jeroboam built a house in Bethel, and then it became a sin. And guess what? But they are receiving authority of the king of 1 hour together with the beast. These are the one of one mind, and they hand over their power to authority to the beast. They will make war on the land. They will make war on the people who believe in Yahushua Mashiach. And guess what it does? And the land will conquer them, for he is the master of masters, and the Malak of Malakim, and those with him are called chosen and faithful. So who are he talking about? And then the Malak said to me, the waters that you saw, where the prostitute is seated, are peoples, multitudes, and nations, and languages. There's a whole bunch of people. And they diverse too. And the 10 horns that you saw, they and the beast will hate the prostitute. What they do? They're going to hate the prostitute. They will make her desolate and naked and devour her flesh and burn her with fire. For Elohim has put it into their hearts to carry out his purpose. What's his purpose in the earth? What's his purpose? That his name may be proclaimed in all the earth. Because Yahuwah has a purpose. They carry out his purpose by being of one mind and handing over their royal power to the beast until the words of Elohim are fulfilled. Because Yahuwah going to proclaim his name on the earth. And guess what? And the woman that you saw is the great city that has dominion over all the kings of the earth. So who are you talking about? Who is he talking about? It has dominion. What kingdoms has dominion over all the earth? Right? You can see that today. What kingdom has dominion over all the earth? Verse 18. After this I saw another Malach coming down from Shamayim, having great authority, and the earth was made bright with his kabod. And he called out with a mighty voice, Fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a dwelling place for demons. She has become a place for Shadim. But let's see what happened. A haunt for unclean ruachs, a haunt for unclean birds, a haunt for unclean detestable beasts. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the passions of her sexual morality, and the kings of the earth have committed immorality with her, and the merchants of the earth have become grown rich from the power of her luxurious living. We're almost finished. Then I heard another voice from Shamayim saying, Come out of her, my people. You know what Yirmiyahu said? He said, Come out of her, my people. Come out of where? Who he talking about? Lest you take part in her sins, lest you share in her plagues. For her sins have heaped high as Shamayim, and Elohim has remembered her iniquities. Pay her back as she herself has paid back others. So if you do that, if you do the same thing they do, it's going to happen to you too. And you're going to be taken into destruction of the city. You know what happened? When you return evil for evil, it's going to happen to you too. And repay her double for her deeds. It's going to happen the same thing going to happen to you. Mix a double portion for her in the cup she mixed. That's why he talk about a double portion of your ruach. But he's talking about something totally different. He said, give her a double portion of the cup mixed. As she glorified herself, living in luxury, so give her all alike a measure of her torment and mourning. Since her heart, she says, I sit as a queen. Man, she's just like a Thalia on the throne. She killed all the royal family. She's just like a Thalia. She killed all the royal family. I am no widow. In mourning I shall never cease. I ain't never gonna mourn. For this reason her plagues will come in a single day. Death and mourning and famine, and she will be burnt up with fire. For the Almighty Yahuwah who has judged her. Right? And the kings of the earth who committed sexual morality and lived in luxury with her will weep and wail over her when they see the smoke of her burning. They will stand far off in fear of her torment and say, Alas, alas, you great city, the mighty city Babylon, for in a single hour your judgment has come. And the merchants of the earth will weep and mourn for her, since no one buys their cargo anymore. Their cargo of gold, silver, jewels, pearls, fine linen, purple cloth, silk, scarlet, all kinds of scented wood, all kinds of articles of ivory, and all kinds of articles of costly wood, bronze, iron, marble, cinnamon, spices, incense, myrrh, frankincense, wine, oil, fine flour, wheat, cattle, sheep, horses, chariots, slaves, that is, human souls. Who dealt with all of these things? Who had frankincense and myrrh and oil? Who does that? Who owns these things? Who owns purple and scarlet and wood and ivory? Who are the people who have this stuff? The fruit of which your soul longed has gone from you, and all your delicacies and all your splendor are lost to you, never to be found again. The merchants of these wares who gain wealth from her will stand far off in fear of her torment, weeping and aloud. What are they going to say? Alas, the great city that was clothed in fine linen, in purple and scarlet, adorned with gold and with jewels and pearls, for in a single hour all his wealth was laid waste. So who are these people? What city like this city? And all the shipmasters and seafaring men, sailors, and all whose trade is to the sea, stood far off and cried out as they saw the smoke of her burning. Why do you think Yahushua was saying? You say, you know what? They're going to burn this place down. Matter of fact, they're going to lay you flat to the ground. Matter of fact, it's you who caused all these people to drink of the wine of your fornication and your adultery. It's you. And you know what happens when people start mimicking you? They do the same thing you do. So they're just going to mimic the very pattern that you did. And when they destroy your city, when they destroy you, they're going to treat you the same way you did everybody else. They're going to do the same thing to you. But it's your purpose, though. And what city was like this city? What city like Jerusalem? What city was like that? 300, 3,600 people over it to build it? Shalom city? 150,000 women? What city was like that? What place? It says, and they threw dust on their heads as they wept and mourned, crying out. What do you mean? What do you threw dust on your head? What do you mean? What type of dust? You're going to throw sackcloth and ashes on your head. You're going to be black to the ground. What people do that? Alas, the great city where all the ships in the sea grew rich from by her wealth, for in a single hour she shall be laid waste. Rejoice over her, O Shamayim, and you saints, you what? You Chdshim, you apostles, you Shalakim, and you Nabi'im, for Elohim has given judgment for you against her. Against who? Why would the Chdshim, the Shalakim, and the Nabi'im be rejoicing over a place that's destroyed? Then a mighty Malakim took a stone, a great millstone, and threw it into the sea. Oh, he said, if you receive what such children receive in my name, you receive me. But if you cause one of these little ones who believe me to sin, it'd be better that a great millstone be tied around your neck and you be thrown in the depths of the sea. Matter of fact, in the great sea. He said, let the children come to me. But you know what happened? The Saint Chdshim and the Shalakim and the Nabi'im, they have something against you, right? So will Babylon, it says, so will Babylon, the great city, be thrown down with violence and will be found no more. What city is Babylon? And the sound of the harpists and the musicians and the flutes and the players and the trumpeters will be heard in you no more. Well, who had these type of instruments? Who praised you? Who are like that? And it says, and their craftsmen and any craft will be found in you no more. And the sound of the mill will be heard in you no more. And the light of the lamp, will shine no more. Who had the light of the lamp? Who had a menorah? Who had the near? Who had the 7 bowls with the 7 lamps? Who had the 7 lampstands? Who had the 7 golden candlesticks? Who were the ones who had the Shalakim, the Nabi'im, and the Chdshim? Who are the ones who had the frankincense and myrrh, aloes? What city, Babylon, is that? What city is that? It says, and the light of the lamp will shine in it no more, and the voice of the bridegroom and the bride will be heard in it no more. For your merchants were the great ones of the earth, and the nations were deceived by your sorcery. Who he talking about? Who deceived the world by the nations? Who deceived the nations by their sorcery? And by how they conducted themselves in Jerusalem? Who deceived the nations? You know, it's not let no man deceive you. Who deceived the nations? Who did that? Let's see. And in her was found the blood, And in her was found the blood of the Nabi'im, the prophets, the Chdshim, and all who have been slain on the earth. Who was that? Who slain all the people on the earth in the blood of the Shalakim and the Nabi'im? Who was that? Right, this is the book of Acts. Acts chapter. Right, this is the book of Acts chapter 16, I think. Yeah. Right, this is the book of Acts chapter 11:16. And I remembered the word of Yahuwah, how he said, you cannot immerse with water, but you will be immersed with the Qahalath Ruach. If then Elohim gave the same gift to them as he gave to us, when we believed in the Master Yahushua Mashiach, who was I that I could stand in Elohim's way? And when they heard these things, they fell silent. And they kabod Elohim, saying, then to the Goim also, it says, they glorify Elohim, saying, then to the Goim also Elohim has granted repentance that they lead, that leads to life. Now those who were scattered because of the persecution that arose over Stephen traveled far to Phoenicia and Cyrus and Antioch, speaking the word to no one except Yahudim. But there were some of them in Cyprus and Cyrene who, on coming to Antioch, spoke of Hellenists, also preaching the Master Yahushua. Right? He said they had the blood of those of the Nabi'im, the Shalakim, and who else they had? They had the blood of all these people. Right? This is the Acts chapter 22 and verse 1. Brothers and fathers, hear my defense, and now I make to you. And when they heard that they were addressing in the Abrid language, they became even more quiet. And he said, I am a Yahudi, born of Tarsus, of Sicilia, but brought up in a city, educated at the feet of Gamaliel, according to the strict manner of the Torah of their fathers, being zealous of Elohim, as all you are this day. I persecuted this way to death, binding and delivering in the prison both men and women, as the High Kahan and the council of the elders can bear me witness. For them I received letters to my brothers, and I journeyed toward Damascus to take those also who were there and bring them into bonds Jerusalem to be punished. And as I was on my way, I drew near Damascus, and at noon a great light from Shamaim suddenly shone around me, and I fell on the ground, and I heard a voice saying to me, Saul, Shaul, Shaul, why are you persecuting me? And I answered, who are you, Master? And he said, I am Yahushua, whom you are persecuting. So who has all the blood of the Chdshim and the prophets? Who? What city? He said, on them. He said, they are guilty. Right, this is Matthew, we almost finished. Matthew 23, 34. Matthew 23, 34. Therefore I send you Nabi'im and wise men and scribes, some of whom you will kill and crucify. Because on them is all the he said the blood of the Nabi'im, the Shalakim, and all the blood shed on the earth. You mean the land, on the Adas. And some of whom you will kill and crucify, and some you will flog in your congregation, your synagogue, your assembly, and persecute from town to town, so that on you may come all the righteous blood shed on the earth, and the blood of the righteous Raby'ay. Oh, there we go. All the blood shed on the earth. Who he talking about? He's talking about Jerusalem. That great city Babylon. That all nations, matter of fact, got drunk off your sorcery and got deceived by your sorceries. And get what he said? So that on you may come the righteous blood shed on the earth, from the blood of righteous Raby'ay to the blood of Zechariah Berechiah, who was murdered between the sanctuary and the altar. Truly I say to you, all these things will come upon this generation. He talking about Jerusalem. What do you think of Chazun Revelation was talking about? They get, if anybody patterns off of you, you can say, oh man, it's the people. Nah, they are the ones patterning your behavior. They patterned your behavior before. They just repeated what you did. But it all comes from you. It all comes from you. Everything comes from you. You guilty. He said Jerusalem is guilty. You know, Yasharal and Yehuda, who slew all the Nabi'im and the Shalakim and the Chdshim and persecuted them because they believed on Yahushua, because they followed his teachings. And on them came all the righteous blood, all the Nabi'im, the Shalakim, and all the righteous blood of the earth. And all the nations got deceived by your sorcery. All right, that came from Jerusalem. All right, so this is the book of Yirmiyahu. Right, this is the book of Yirmiyahu. Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 10. Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 16. Yahuwah said to me in the days of King Josiah, have you seen what she did, that faithless one Yasharal? How she went up on every high hill and under every green tree. They built groves and played the whore. You know, the whore that sits on the waters. You know, he's talking about you. He's talking about you. You the whore that sat on many waters. You are the prostitute. You are mystery Babylon. And I thought after she had done all this, she would return to me. She would repent, but no. But she did not return, and her treacherous sister Yehuda saw it. You know her treacherous sister Yehuda, because you know Yasharal, them 10 tribes. And matter of fact, them 7 periods that they had. And it said right here, she saw that all her adulteries of that faithless one Yasharal, I had sent her away with a decree of divorce. He said that process, that whore to sit on many waters. That's Zanah. Ruach is Zanah. That's what he was. And guess what? Yet her treacherous sister Yehuda did not fear, but she did too play the whore. She was Zanah too. Because she took her whoredom lightly and she polluted the land, committing adultery with stone and tree. Yet for all this, her treacherous sister Yehuda did not return to me with her whole heart, but in pretense, declared Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to me, faithless Yasharal has shown herself more righteous than her treacherous sister Yehuda. Go and proclaim to the words toward the north, and say, return, O faithless Yasharal, declares Yahuwah. And I will not look at you in anger, for I am merciful, declares Yahuwah. I will not be angry forever. All this is important. He said they were deceived by your sorcery. Why? He said they were deceived by your sorcery, right? Right, this is the book of Ezekiel chapter 16. And matter of fact, we just read. What we just read? We just read a Nabi they killed. But this is Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 1. It says, and again, the word of Yahuwah came to me, son of Adam, make known to Jerusalem her abominations, and say, thus says Yahuwah Elohim to Jerusalem, your origin and your birth are the land of the Canaanites. He said, by your sorcery, you deceive the nations. And your father was an Amorite, and your mother was a Hittite. You was just like them. By your sorcery, you deceived the nation. You supposed to be the light to the nation, or to the nation. And now you deceiving the nation. So therefore, you deceived it by your sorcery. And guess what happened? And as for your birth, on the day you were born, your cord was not cut. He said, your birth, you know the type of birth you had? It wasn't like your Jacob. You ain't forsake all. You ain't do like your Jacob and forsake all and be born again. Nah, you ain't do that. You were not washed with water to cleanse you, nor rubbed with salt, nor wrapped in swaddling clothes, nor I pitied you to do any of these things to you out of compassion for you. But you were cast out in an open field, for you were abhorred on the day you were born. And when I passed by, I saw you and wallowed in your blood, and I said to you, live. And I said to you, live. And I made you flourish like the plant in the field. I made you multiply fruit and gold, and frankincense and myrrh. I made you prosperous. Your bread and your water was barak. I brought you in a fruitful land. I made you prosperous. Matter of fact, I did all these things for you. And you grew up and became tall and arrived to full adornment. Your breasts were formed and your hair had grown. And you had your senses going. And guess what happened? And you were naked and bare, and when I passed by to you again, I saw you, and behold, there was an age of love, and I spread my garment over you. Right, going down, verse 11. And I adorned you with ornaments, and put bracelets on you, and wrists, and chains in your neck. And I put a ring on your nose, and earrings in your ear, and beautify you with a crown on your head. Thus you were adorned with gold and silver, and your clothing was of fine linen, and silk, and embroidered cloth. And you ate fine flour, honey, and oil, and you grew exceedingly beautiful and advanced in royalty, and your renown went among the nations. Huh? Jerusalem, he said your renown went among the nations. And what happened to you, Yashua and Yehuda? It went around the nation. You deceived these people by your sorcery. Matter of fact, it's going throughout the nation. And he says, because of your beauty, for it was perfect through splendor that I have bestowed upon you, declared Yahuwah. Well, guess what happened? But you trusted in your beauty, and you played the whore because of your renown, and you lavished your whoring on your passerby. Your beauty became his. You took some of your garments and made yourself colorful shrines, and on them played the whore. You used everything I gave you, and you used it, and you committed whoredom, and you deceived the nations by your sorcery. The like has never been and never shall be. You also took your beautiful jewels of my gold, and my silver, which I had given you, and made your images of men, and with men played the whore. And you took your embroidered garments to cover them, and I set my oil and my incense before them. You know, my frankincense and myrrh. You know, the bread you're supposed to offer my olives with the shul bread, and you're supposed to offer me every day. You start doing it to other gods and other Elohims. And guess what? Also, my bread that I gave you, I fed you with fine flour and oil and honey, and set it before them in pleasing aroma. And so it was, declared Yahuwah. And took your sons and your daughters, whom you had born to me, and these you sacrificed to them to be devoured. Will your whoring so small matter that you slaughtered my children? Uh-oh. You did what? You slaughtered my children. He said, make sure you don't despise one of these little ones who believe in me. You know, the Shalakim, the Nabi'im, and the Qhdshim that you slew, and you got all the blood on your hands. Jerusalem, Yasharal, and Yehuda. And guess what he said? You slaughtered my children and delivered them up as an offering by fire to them. And in all your abominations and your whoring, you did not remember the days of your youth, when you were naked and bare and wallowing in your blood. You forgot all about it. You forgot all about it. And after all your wickedness, woe to you. Woe, destruction. Declares Yahuwah. You built yourself a vaulted chamber and made yourself lofty place in every square. And at the head of every street, you built your lofty place. You was at every street and built your lofty place and made your beauty an abomination, offering yourself to any passerby and multiplying your whoring on every street. You also played the whore with the Mizraim, your lustful neighbors, multiplying your whoring. You provoked me to anger. Behold, therefore, I stretch out my hand against you and diminish your allotted portions and deliver you to the greed of your enemies and the daughters of the Philistines, you who were ashamed of your lewd behavior. You played the whore also with the Assyrians, because you, all nations, drunk of the wine of your fornication. And you were not satisfied, yet you played the whore with them, and still you were not satisfied. You multiply your whoring also with the trading of the Chaldees, and even with this you were not satisfied. That's the same thing you did. What do you think Hazum Revelation was talking about? And you know what Yahuwah said after all of that? After Yahuwah did all this for Jerusalem, he said, how sick is your heart, declares Yahuwah Elohim, because you did all these things, these deeds of a brazen prostitute. You know, the prostitute that sit on many waters, on the 7 mountains, you know, in the 7 periods. Building your vaulted chamber at the head of every street, and making your lofty place in every square. You were not like a prostitute, because you scorn payment, adulterous wife who receives strangers instead of her husband. That's what he was talking about. That's what he said. Hazum, he was talking about you. He's talking about Jerusalem, Yasharal and Yehuda, who slew his Nabi'im and his Shalakim, and who slew who was guilty of all the blood on the earth, from righteous Ha'abal to Zechariah, who was slain between the altar. And he brought upon him, he said, all nations have drunk of the wine of your fornication. And he said, in one day, that place, he said, man, you were drowned in the depths of the sea. He said, that place is destroyed. Why? Because of the things you did. And then he said, you know what I'm going to do? He said, I'm going to make all things new. Right? This book of Revelation, chapter 21, and verse 1. And it says, and then I saw a new Shamayim and a new earth, and the first Shamayim and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the Qahalath city, New Jerusalem, you know, not the one that slew the Nabi'im and the Shalakim and the Chdshim and persecuted them. You know, Yasharal and Yehuda. He said, I saw New Jerusalem coming down as Shamayim from Elohim, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband again. Because you know what happens after you get married again? Because you know we were married before. And you see what we did to Yahuwah? He said, how sick is your heart? He said, so I'm going to make all things new. I'm going to make a new covenant with you. I'm going to be married again. Matter of fact, you're going to be like a bride adorned for a husband. You're going to be married to me again. And guess what happens after that? And I heard a loud voice on the throne saying, behold, the dwelling place of Elohim is with man, and he will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and Elohim himself will be as their Elohim again. It's going to be just like it was. It's going to be just like it was, right? So this is the book of Psalms, Tehillim 37, 7 through 11. Be still before Yahuwah and wait patiently for him, right? That's what we're doing. Fret not yourself over the one who prospers in his way, over the man who carries out evil devices, right? Refrain from anger and forsake wrath. Fret or Qahalath not yourself. Don't become angry, right? Don't become burning hot within yourself. It tends only to evil. For evildoers will soon be cut off, but the one who waits for Yahuwah shall inherit the earth, the land. You're going to inherit the earth. You waiting for Yahuwah. 10 virgins, 5 are wise, 5 are foolish. He said, who are you waiting for? Verse 10, in just a little while the wicked will be no more, though you look carefully at his place, and he will not be there. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and delight themselves in the abundance of shalom. Right? That word for be still, it says be still before Yahuwah. It says wait patiently for him. That word for be still is damam. Be still means damam. It says be silent. Be still, to make quiet. Be silenced. Stop. Be silent before Yahuwah. and wait patiently for him. Right? That word for meek is Ayenu. But the meek shall inherit the land. That word for meek is Ayenu. Ayin, Nun, and Wu. It means the poor, the humble, the afflicted, the meek, the poor and needy. You know, the ones who are in the right, but they don't lift their head up. The Ayenu will inherit the Edatz. Why do you think he told Yaakov to go to his inheritance? And he forsook all, and he gave it all to Yasu. But Yahuwah gave it all back to him, though. But he had to forsake all to get it. He had to forsake it all. He said, Ayenu, that means the meek, the poor, the needy, the afflicted, the humble. Why do you think Yaakov walking with a limp? He's like, you see my thigh? It's out of joint. I'm in pain. And I'm poor. And I'm alone. Right? But he said the Father, Abba, has never left him alone, for he did all the things that please him. Ayenu, right? The meek. Right? So they said it says, but the meek, the Ayenu, shall inherit the Edatz and delight themselves in the abundance of Shalom. What? Shalom. Shin, Lamed, Wu, and Me. You gotta be joined to it. That's why it has a Wu in there. But it says, they shall be joined with Shalom. That means completeness, soundness. They shall be what? They shall, it means safety. Safety. Soundness. Peace. Quiet. Tranquility. Contentment. Relationship in peace. From war. From welfare. Health. Prosperity. Peace. Friend, ease, right? All that's important, right? Right, this is the book of Sirach, chapter 3, 17 through 23. My son, go on thy business in meekness. So shalt thou be beloved of him that is approved. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself, the more Ayenu you need to be. Why do you think Yaakov, he got great, he had so much wealth, and he humbled himself down, and he humbled himself even more. And he was great. He had more than he ever had. And guess what he says? And thou shalt find favor before Yahuwah. Why do you think he found so much favor? Your name shall no longer be called Yaakov, but Yahshua. Many are in high places and renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the Ayenu, the meek. For the power of Yahuwah is great and is honored with the lowly. Seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search for things that are above thy strength. But what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence. For it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. For the secret things belong unto Yahuwah. Those things that are revealed unto us and our children. Be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more things are showed unto thee than men understand. Men and women understand. Right, so we look at all that. We look at Yahushua Mashiach. Look at the lot of life. Look at the understanding of Yahushua Mashiach, and his understanding is true. We don't allow to lift our head up in arrogance and pride, but to stay down, even though you're in the right. Knowing that in truth, Yahuwah's thoughts are very deep, and deep within ourselves is a being, a person that wants to be redeemed, not with corruptible things, continually, not with silver and gold, but with the precious blood of Yahushua Mashiach. So we look at Yahushua Mashiach as a lot of life in that understanding. We need not, how you say, hold anything and seek to destroy, but always seek humility and meekness within oneself. When we live in this world, we are not of it. But we understand the things that we did in times past and the behaviors that one had in Jerusalem before. But we look for Jerusalem above. For Jerusalem above is free, and is the mother of us all, and not the mother of all harlots, Zanah, here on the earth. So we look at ourselves, and we look at our inward man, we look at our inward being. We look not to walk after the imagination of our own heart and our mind, not of the old way, but of the new and the better way. For he said, behold, I see a new Aratz, new Shamayim and a new earth. And the old and the first Shamayim and it has passed away. Behold, I make all things new. But has he made everything new inside of you? Has he made everything Chdsh on the inside of you? Has he made your thoughts new? Has he made your mind new? Has he made your health new? Has he made your inner man new? But he said, speak to the rock. He told Meshach. And he said, let the water flow down. Even as you speak to the stony heart and the stony mind of people, guess what starts to flow down? The very contaminants and the things start to flow out of your heart and your mind, and your ears and your nose and your mouth, and the being inside of your body, and you start to become pure within yourself. And no longer you walk after the imagination of your own heart and your own mind, but according to the imaginations and the thoughts and the higher thoughts of Yahushua Mashiach and the Son, who sits at the highest above all. But even though the wolves chase, and the wolves are on chase, and they may devour, but yet Yahuwah Elohim sees all. And when one does damage to his children, he sees you as an enemy. But those who repent and turn from their evil way and their plots and their schemes, he said, cut off your hands and your feet. He said, don't even use your hands and your feet to do evil. Don't even use your feet to go and do evil. Don't even proclaim with your tongue and your lips to proclaim violence to anybody and proclaim violence to somebody in their life because of your own evil and your own arrogance and your evil and your own ego within your own self. So we look at our own mind and we look at our own thoughts. And he said, you search out every way within oneself. But he said, he that seek the cover of transgression seeketh love. And love covers a multitude of sins. Right? Love covers a multitude of sins. So this came to my mind. So this is the book of James. Right, this is the book of James. Yeah, the book of James. Book of James, chapter 1, verse 9. Let the lowly brother boast in his exaltation and the rich in his humiliation. Why do you think Jacob gave up all he had? He was rich. And then he humiliated himself. He literally got rid of everything. And get what he says. And the rich in his humiliation, because like a flower of the grass, he will pass away. In our days short. We just read in the book of Job. It's real short. It's like our days are not long. For the sun rises and its scorching heat and withers the grass, its flowers fall and the beauty perishes. So also with the rich man fade in the midst of his pursuits. Why do you think all the things that happened in Babylon and to Jerusalem and all the things they did, it all perished in all their pursuits? He said, when will the new moon be gone? When will the Chdsh yard be gone? When will the Shabath be gone that we may get our gain? All that stuff is gone. Barak is the man who remains steadfast under trial. Isn't that what you called did? You know what Yasharal did? That's what his name was changed to. For when he has stood the test, he will receive a crown of life. Your name should no longer be called Yaakov, but Yasharal, which Elohim has promised to those who love him. Let no one say when he is tempted, I am being tempted by Elohim. For Elohim cannot tempt with evil, and he himself tempt no one. But each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desires. Then desire, when it has conceived, gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death. Do not be deceived, my beloved brothers and sisters. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, because nothing's from below. Everything's from above. As rain and snow come down from Sharon, so did the barbeat that goes out of my mouth. It was already here before you even born. The water inside of the earth was already here. That well of water was already here. It was already here. And get what it says. Then desire, when it has conceived, gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death. Do not be deceived by the sorcerer. Right? You know what happens? My beloved brothers and sisters, every good gift and every perfect gift comes from above, coming down from the Father of lights. You know, the creator of all the order, Shemesh Kubu in the yard. He created the sun, moon, and stars, and all of the constellations, and the Pegasus, and the Her star, and all these different beings. He created the Orion or Raynos and the 7 stars. He created that. He formed that. And guess what? With whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. I am Yahuwah, I change not. Of his own will he brought us forth by the word of truth. By the word of Yahuwah, the Shamayim were made. Man, it's like water, the well water. He made everything. And we should be a kind of first fruit of his creatures. You know, the first fruits of his Ruach. The first fruit of his creatures. We should be. Knowing this, my beloved brothers and sisters, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. For the anger of man does not produce righteousness of Elohim. Therefore, put away all filthiness and rampant and wickedness, and receive with meekness Einu, the implanted debar, which is able to save your souls, to give you salvation. If you drink from this water, he said, you'll never thirst again. Matter of fact, it'll be a fountain springing up to everlasting life. Right, so we look at Yahushua Mashiach, we look at everything that he's done and the understanding that he's given. Even though all the things, that even as Hanuk, he said, Yahuwah know all your thoughts. And he also said in the second Hanuk, said, Baraka, he will have malice against no one. Knowing that all things, and we should love our neighbors, love ourselves, but at the same time, he said, as much as lies in you, live peacefully with all men, right, whether good or evil, even as Yaakov did with Asu. So we look at ourselves and look at our inward man, we look at our inward being. And no longer we walk after our own imaginations and our own will. He said, Barak are they who hunger and thirst after righteousness. Barak are the Einu, the meek, for they shall inherit the land. They shall inherit the Eretz. They shall inherit the earth. The meek shall inherit New Jerusalem.